Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Physgun Fireside Denver 2025 LAN. We're here nearing the end of Day 2 playoffs. Have been insane, and I don't know if you've seen the news that's happened, but some pretty interesting stuff has already gone down. Froyotech is out of the competition. They have been sent home by Witness Gaming Australia in what was a close best of 3. But at the end of the day, Witness Gaming Australia gave it their all, and they have managed to go a little bit further in this tournament. And you can see them here right up on stage, and they are going to be trying to do that same thing one more time, the bare minimum, as we are heading into the lower bracket semifinal. That's right, you thought Froyotech's going home. Oh, the tournament's over, grand finals happen. No, we got not this match and then a whole nother day tomorrow where we have the lower bracket finals and also the grand finals, where like a G6 are already waiting. They have secured their spot to the grand finals earlier today in a very, very close game against Witness Gaming Europe. So these two teams behind me are going to be playing for a shot to battle Witness Gaming Europe. And of course, we already know Witness Gaming Australia, and you should have seen them over on the Essentials TF stream where they had that insane best of 3 against a Froyotech. But you might be wondering, who's over here on the blue side? We've got a special little team called BLT, or you might know them as the Balls team. They are an amazing group of players, some that have played an invite for such a long time at the highest level and have consistently been at the top. They also had their kind of own upset win game versus Froyotech, and so both these two teams, Froyotech killers, but who is going to be the victors as they face off in the lower bracket semifinals? We got our analyst to tell you a little bit more about the match.
We have honestly just witnessed some TF2 history. Froyotech going out in 5th to 6th place here in Denver. Across the world, over at Essentials, they went and broadcast that. Some of you may have seen that, but in case you didn't, I think we kind of have to start by talking about that. And I'm joined by two guests who are, they can talk a lot about Froyotech, got plenty of experience with them, against them, whatever it be. We've got Sandblast and we've got Marmaloo. Like, can we, like, I don't know, if there's any new viewers, can we, like, get a scale of how monumental this really is?
Well, I don't think Banny himself has ever gotten worse than 4th, to my knowledge. Like, in all time, the lowest they've gotten at a LAN in, like, Froyo history, I think, is 3rd. And that was, like, a crazy moment and a crazy meme. I've seen at least 3 threads get replied to or created instantly after this happened.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I don't think anyone thought they would have gotten less than, like, 3rd. I think if you asked most people.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly, like, kind of like an end to a dynasty, and to an extent, man. I mean, when you look at it, especially been playing the game since 2015 and watching it since, like, 2013, 14, you know, Banny's always been like that guy, no matter what continent, no matter what team from North America.
They always found a way. Every time it's like you can never count them out.
I mean, this LAN, and I was telling a lot of people, and a lot of people agreed, you know, this was the LAN of, like, Banny and Habib and Patty, like, well, this LAN, if they win, this will cement them as, like, the greatest 3, like, pocket demo combo scouts in the history of the game. You know, for Australia, like, for them to get bust out at 5th and 6th and prove Banny right, like, I mean, you got to think about
that. Is like
that's crazy.
That is perfect, poetic. They're 6th, maybe 5th, and then he gets 5th/6th.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't want. It'd be very funny to happen if Australia got 4th and lost here, and they still beat Froyo. Just
it's so cruel, though. That's so cruel to say
like,
that.
Like, how'd LAN go? And it's like, yeah, we beat Froyo. It's like, oh, what place you get? 4th. It's like,
they didn't even just beat Froyo; they knocked them out.
Yeah, like that just tells you, like, how, like, how stacked this LAN is. Like, the fact that you could say, yeah, I just knocked out Froyotech, like, Banny, one of the greatest combo scouts of all time, Habib, probably, like, the best demo of all time. Well, we got 4th place and we lost.
These are the two teams that eliminated.
Yeah, these are the Froyo Slayers, this LAN. So it's like, you know, this is honestly for Balls LAN Cup team. Talking to
this is way better than their expectations. Like,
talking to
they're
Slim,
literally called Balls.
Yeah,
we are talking about a Balls LAN team.
Yep, it's funny
for 4th place.
I remember, like, literally talking to Zilly, like, we were just playing Marvel Rivals, and he was like, Yeah, like we have literally zero expectations. We just don't care. We're just gonna have fun. And then like when they realized like how close they were to beating G6 and Froyo, it's like, all right, like
Lock in.
we can actually like get top 4, which would be amazing for that team, especially with some of them artists not really super active as much these days. Slemnish,
None of these guys really, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they kind of just play once every
Dingo's
season.
always
too.
exists.
Yeah, Dingo's the exception. Dingo's always trying to play. He loves TF2, but Slemnish especially, Jay kind of pop in once every 3 seasons. Slemnish not really anymore, but
Yeah,
usually
no,
these guys are 1 or 2
Came back like they never left, and I think this is going to be an interesting showdown for the Australians.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one because both, as you say, both these teams are sort of, I guess, coming into it. Maybe the Australians had more of a reason to think they'd be looking at beating Froyo because knowing their relative position to the Americans, it's harder to tell, right? They hadn't played each other, but I guess coming into their games, I'd probably still count both of them on paper as underdogs. Like at this point now, they've both obviously passed Froyo Tech. They're now on their own, and it's kind of now like this. I wouldn't say the sky's the limit completely, but like now they're fighting at potential top 3. Like, how does that like sort of change the dynamic for these teams?
I think they're all experienced, at least like for Ball's land team, they're all experienced enough to just be able to deal with this. They're not all freaking out.
It's a mix though, right?
It's a mixed
It's
team,
a mix, but like, all these
guys
players have
played
been here.
together.
All these people have been here. Like Slemnish has been here before. Hi-Fi's been here before. Artist has been here before. All these guys have invite championships under their belt. Second place land finishes for some of these guys. So it's not super uncommon for them. I just think that they want to,
Usually this team burns out 3rd or 4th at like an NA land.
Yeah.
Just NA, and the G6 Froyos of the time would kind of deal with them somewhat easily. And it's now they are a threat, and they are a threat to potentially be in the lower bracket finals if they can kind of bring this together.
Yeah, I heard we have some potentially some rosters. So for anyone who's maybe just joining us, we could pull those up, learn some about the.
If you don't know
about
about
these two
Balls,
teams.
Land,
Yeah, Balls Land team, man. Like
under
they're
our-
all the rage around these parts.
you heard about Balls?
I would say it's
Balls
a fan
Land?
favorite. I mean, you have some of like the greatest NA scouts to touch the game. I mean, Jay, multi-classing savant, Slemnish, gonna rock out on the flank scout, and then you have Kyle or High Five gonna be off-classing a little bit, playing that pocket soldier.
Dingo also filling out the other soldier role. We got Artist and Zilly filling out the rest of the team. But right now, if we were to talk to anybody before this event and say, what's going to happen is Froyo was going to go out 5th, losing to Balls Land team. First of all, most people would be like, who's Balls Land team, first of
Exactly.
all? And then the Australians. And then they're going to vie for 4th place, which right now, this match is... It's a pretty big one. It's going to show whose witness is going to play, and it's going to alter what they are going to see. But this is a good way to finish the second day of 3.
Yeah, I mean, especially just like kind of like a crazy one of a top 3 series of all time between, Witness Gaming Australia and Froyo Tech. To see Froyo Tech bow out under like in my opinion, the playoffs. Obviously this is a playoff land technically in a sense. It's all top 8 playoffs, whatever. But like top 4 is that's insane. That's something that's never happened in the last 12 years of the game.
Can't be understated how
It's insane.
crazy that was. Just to witness that yesterday and then again.
Yeah, it's special.
It's wild, man. Like we can talk about Witness Australia a bit, right? Because they are coming back off of what is going to go down in history as a probably incredibly important and historic game, right?
yeah.
And it was a long game. It was a fight. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys watching it? Like, any like standout players thinking from this Australian team? Because they've been lights out some of these games. And like, what is it about them that's doing it? Like, Sandblast, what do you think?
I mean, Silvo and Cookie, they had a lot of amazing moments that game. I mean, it really came down to a lot of like in-game leadership calls. I mean, if you look at some of these post-ubers from Froyo, even on the side of Witness Gaming Australia, just the star power and like the flank talent from Australia kind of just allowed Witness Gaming Australia to come out on top. I mean, Banny being the leader behind the team, listening to his comms, and being a combo scout myself, who's definitely been around the block at some of these higher level games. I mean, I wish there was a little bit better leadership in terms of the in-game comms from Banny, but
Yeah, just mindset. I think
Yeah, the
Froyo was
mindset was not
definitely
good.
not. They were not in as much as like Australia was like, this is their everything. While Froyo was just like, let's get it together. But I think especially these soldiers as well from Australia. Everyone in
yeah,
Australia
Connor
is
and Down
not
are-
bad at all. But like Downs had moments, Connor's had moments where I think if they just continue doing this, if they can get kind of going, they can start transitioning into being a better matchup versus Europe. Maybe they pick some different maps, see some different looks, because some of those maps they played against Witness Europe was not the greatest showing.
So are you hinting you think they might get through? You think they might have a rematch?
I'm leaning towards it, but you can never count out Ball's land team. If you are, you're making mistakes here. But
you can't count balls.
That's true.
I'm curious to see what maps we see. Will we see a Viaduct? I feel like
Yeah, Viaduct's scary.
Will they ban Bagel? Will they ban Via? I feel like it's going to be on Australia. I know in the European or the Witness Showdown, Australia did ban Viaduct.
Yeah.
So will they just follow that again? Is Ball's land team confident enough to pick a map like Bagel? Because that is always a risky one. We know for sure the best team at it is G6. Everyone else kind of is just around the place though on that.
Yeah, we've seen so little Bagel. I guess obviously with people favoring it on G6 and other teams, like it's hard to pick into Koth unless you're mega confident, and especially Bagel. I guess it can get messy, right? You have to be so comfortable in it.
I mean, G6 kind of like set the tone for Koth this lane. Like you do not really want to take them there. Yeah. I mean, Witness Gaming Australia, they had a slow burn. It was a 4-2, but I mean, they're looking tight. They're looking ready to win. Just how Logai is able to help guide caps. Logan is always alive, pumping out damage. Soapy is just always a force to be reckoned with. And it's the last two NA teams versus the last two, foreigners. It comes down to how is America going to try and defend their region?
I guess not no matter what, but imagine we see a domestic matchup.
A domestic
finals.
grand
That would be the crazy.
Yeah, if that happens, you guys suck. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm gonna put that on top. Like if you guys allow that to happen, I don't. Witness Gaming EU. I mean, I had them in the favorites at day 0, just speculating that.
I think everyone was.
Yeah, they were playing hot, but knowing G6, they don't want to show everything out early. They just want to play, get used to the setup, kind of feel it out. Nothing super crazy. Keep the vibes and energy good, and then look at that. Day 1. They dominated. They didn't drop a map. Day 2, kind of coasted through. It wasn't really that close.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But going into this series, what are we thinking?
It's going to be scary, man. I mean, if it's a King of the Hill map, if we see Viaduct, I think Ball's land team has a very fair shot. I mean, Witness Gaming Australia is coming off arguably probably the best feeling they've ever felt as competitors. So they're going in hot, and their job's not finished. They're still looking at 4th place if they lose. Ball's Cup team, they have nothing. They have nothing to lose. They got what they wanted.
Yeah, I could see. Well, going through the bans, kind of. I think I could see Ball's team either banning Snake or Process, something like those. Well, yeah, I think Australia is going to ban one of the Koth games.
Yeah,
Australia. We're going to see a Koth probably.
Australia ran away on Snakewater a little bit from Froyo Tech,
and that's crazy because they got kind of ran over by Europe.
That's
so
why,
it's like the gap is.
Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of these Froyo Tech bans, man. I mean, they just played Process.
It's very reactionary.
They just played Process against the Australians yesterday and lost, and pretty much the same way. And they just played against Witness Gaming EU on Snakewater yesterday and got dog walked. Like that was not close. 5-1.
Yeah, they were thinking maybe they're thinking they lost as well to EU. It's like it was a different loss.
Yeah,
Froyo looked very lost in that series against Europe.
Yeah.
Australia had chances. They had moments, but they just couldn't string it together.
I guess my question, sort of talking back to the game against Europe. Both team they haven't faced Witness EU in the best of 3s. They obviously faced yesterday in the best of 1. Very different sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Do we think either of these teams have a realistic chance of making grand final after this game?
Yeah, 100% for sure. I mean, at this point, I think between Witness Gaming Australia and Ball's land team, I mean, it's going to be hard. I think Witness Gaming EU is really going to be a test of do you have what it takes to get there? Just because Witness Gaming EU has kind of walked away from the Australians and Ball's land team a little bit. It's harder for them to win, but I mean it's definitely possible. I mean I'm not counting it out. I mean Witness Gaming EU, they're going to be playing earlier in the morning, just pretty much warming up, while G6 kind of gets the kickback, relax. They have grand finals, winner side. They get the band advantage.
Yeah, the downside with playing grands is you are not warm. The team come from lower bracket, they just fought. They're feeling good. Well, G6 is just going to be cold sitting there. But going into this, right now, I think this game is going to prove if Europe is even possible not to be in the grand finals. Because right now, I think they are the favorite of whoever comes from the series, but if we see some good results, maybe otherwise.
Yeah, speaking of this series, we're getting word that we do have some map picks and bans that are hypothesizing can come to an end. We're going to have Bagel, maybe some Koth, maybe a Snakewater.
Surprise.
We can we'll have a look if we can get those up.
It works maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited. Watching this is going to be crazy. I hope from my North American friends, but I am going to bias aside. My love for Jay, Slem, and all of my homies aside. You know, if there's a Koth map, I'm going to say 2-1 for the Aussies. If there's no King of the Hill being played, specifically Viaduct, I think the Australians, coming off a hot win, playing good, I think they might walk away with it.
Australia ban Viaduct, Balls land team pan goalie wash.
Fair.
So Europe pick Snake, or AU pick Snake, which kind of makes sense after the last series.
Smart.
And I just want to see, will Balls land team pick Bagel, or are they going to go to something
It's in.
else?
The
It's
pick
there.
is in.
It's there. It's not usually left this late in. And like this land, like I don't know, teams are
People are
banning it
scared.
so early, right?
People are
Like
scared of Bagel. It's a scary map.
Yeah.
with it in there, anything can happen. Right? The Snake pick though, I do like. It's a comfort pick, right? We saw them play very well just now. I completely understand that.
And the thing is, the Australians banning goalie, the only map they lost to Froyotech. Now, they lost to Froyotech and Europe. So I don't know where Balls team, do they go for their own comfort pick? Do they try and see, we had good results against them in this scrim? And it's like, are you going to pick your good map or their bad map? Where Bagel, it's a really team-oriented map, and they're not like a team. They're a mix. They're a pug team.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a lot of pressure on those soldiers to make some moves. So I think we're probably going to see something more like a Sunshine or maybe a Process.
Yeah, I think pugging it out a little bit, picking these maps that are a little bit more fluid. You know, Metalworks does require a little bit of cohesion. It's an important map to get your explosives classes in the right spot.
Those mids can be, like we keep talking about, those mids can be dangerous.
Yeah.
You are not set on those mids. I think they do want an open map where their scouts can range.
Let Slemnish and Jay kind of...
Let artists shoot those lock and loads across the map and just give themselves a shot with their scouts, just being able to make plays and do things.
For sure. I mean, it'll be exciting. It's going to be a close series, hopefully. I don't want to see a team get rolled here. I mean, I want to see, honestly, Australia move forward. I think it'll be great.
That would be hype.
I think it would be amazing for them. You know, this has been a long time coming. You know, this is the best roster they've ever had, and they just took down one of the Titans in the game.
We'll say the greatest team of, maybe not this roster, but the greatest team of all time. Froyotech has a dynasty right now.
For sure.
Not living up to it, but that is a name that everyone who's ever played TF2 would know.
No.
Like if you say I beat Balls land team, people are like, okay.
They are the team that's been around since so long. That rosters come and go for everyone except Froyotech. They're always there.
I-52, season 16 of ESEA. We are on past season 16 of RGL. It's been that long. We've overlapped it. And one thing has remained constant. Banny has always been there. And this is going to be a final day that will not even have him featured at all.
This is the first time where not a single road will lead to Froyotech at any land. I mean, it's usually they're always up there in the top 1, top 2, international, domestic, does not matter.
I'm curious to see what Balls picks for their map, though.
They're having a long think, from what I can tell. We heard the Witness AU pick. We're still
when we said it.
That's when it happened, right? I don't know. It's a tough choice.
What do we think then? Because I'm leaning towards, I'll say Sunshine.
Yeah, I don't think they want to go to Process. I mean,
they just won.
Yeah, they just won. You know, they're feeling confident on that map. And again, it's still a very fluid map. Everyone knows what to do, even if you're not very organized. I think Sunshine would be a little bit better of a pick. You know, it's a little bit different for Witness Gaming Australia. You know, just kind of new scenery, something they haven't played on in a little bit. Catch them off guard a little bit. Maybe, I don't know what Balls land team played against QMD, but maybe they had a good game on Sunshine, maybe.
Sunshine and Snakewater.
Yeah, I know. You're right, because, I remember they beat them on Sunshine.
QMG was putting up a good fight.
Yeah, they played very well.
It was a very close game.
Very good land for
But,
them.
what other map? It's Metal, Bagel, Sunshine, Process left, right?
I believe so, yeah.
They get to pick one, ban one. So
we'll see. It's exciting
what
stuff.
are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Bagel would be fun.
Yeah.
Again, we've barely seen it. I do like the map to watch. You can get some really exciting games on it. I'm not so sure it's going to happen. I think Sunshine was a good call. I liked your call of that because Process, the Australians have just come off a good game on it. But it's tough to say, right? We've not seen a great deal of the Australians. It's hard to if you're picking for your opponent's weaknesses.
It's impossible.
It's
to
tough,
gauge.
right? Yeah, it's so
they
tough.
probably played them once.
Yeah, exactly, right. One map. Your sample size is one map. What does that say?
Yeah, and as you saw with the Froyo Australia series, they played the same team with a similar result, but they're not on the same level. But yeah, I think for sure, I would be surprised if they pick Metal or Bagel this round. So I think it's between Process, Sunshine.
I agree. I don't think we'll see Koth.
I don't think we'll see a map 3 Bagel, though. I think there's no way Australia would let that.
they'd have to get it in 2.
Yeah, I think if you think you're the better team, you don't want to take that upset map.
I mean, yeah,
Unless you're confident.
I know Silvo and Cookie are very, very, very talented. I mean, but again, Slemnish and Jay, like we said earlier, heat check. Like even G6, as their first game, they dropped the map to Ball's land team.
Yeah, the first map, it was scary.
Heat check. Like this team is.
Balls pick sunshine.
There we go.
There we go.
If you get you here for a reason.
I mean, I know. Sometimes I know a thing or two every now and again, but I'm excited to see the series. I imagine we're probably getting pretty close to getting some players in the server here, so hopefully we'll be able to kick it to the casters here in a moment. Yeah. But do you guys have any other some little closing thoughts?
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. Balls 2-1. We're going for dreams.
2-1.
Dreams.
I don't know. I'm thinking we're rushing ahead here. We don't know the final bans yet.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Like,
I'm thinking it will be metal.
you're thinking metal decider?
I think AU bans bagel. I think balls bans process.
I agree.
It's possible.
Yes.
I think so. I mean, I don't really know the Australian map pool. I'm sure chat will, let me know if they even play bagel.
They do play bagel.
Yeah, I think everyone plays these maps, and that's why we eliminated
Yeah.
the 2 that people don't play, like Sultry and.
Finally, we got that unified white. list.
AU bans metal, so bagel is on the board.
All right, that's
It is
interesting.
bagel and
Bagel is banned.
Bagel's banned.
Oh,
It's a bagel and metal banned process decider then.
oh, okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so I mean, Ball's got to get it in 2. In my
So they got
opinion.
some open maps. They got 3 open maps that they can kind of work with.
Yeah.
And kind of like we said, standard pug maps, which this is a literal pug team. It's a mix. They're not a full roster, but these are comfortable maps that don't require, I think, an immense amount of team play. You can play a lot more fluid on these.
Yeah, one final, like, while we give them time to boot into their map, as I'm sure the players like get themselves sorted out, get themselves in, and get 12 in the server. One sort of final thought I want to ask you two guys on. You've played like so many sort of high stakes series in the past.
Yeah.
Had some great wins. How so for the Australians' point of view, right? They have just had the series of their life, right? That is like the biggest game they have ever won.
Yeah.
That game finished 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, right? How do you go from that to like, now we need to lock in again and we need to get back in the server and we need to like sort of reset somewhat? And like, we don't want to like, we don't want to go too hype, but do you want to carry the hype somewhat? Like, what do you think, Sandblast? Like,
I mean, they're probably coming down for it. Like now that they're sitting down at their computers, like when I played either online series or a couple, like my first RGB where we won that LAN. When you kind of sit down and get a big win, 20, 30 minutes pass by, you're talking to your team, you're talking about how amazing it was. Reality sets in that you haven't won the tournament yet.
Not even close. There's a lot.
There's a long way.
There's a literal whole another day.
Yeah, there's
against 2
to
other
get
phenomenal
2 grands, they need to win 2 more series.
So like they need to just take it step by step. As Kobe Bryant said, job's not finished. So we'll see. Hopefully in the next couple minutes here, how it's gonna fare. I think Witness Gaming Australia. I've been talking to them. They're great people, by the way. Some of the coolest people I've ever met. This is my first actual international LAN I've been to personally. So being able to meet these guys and talk to them, I think they're level-headed. I think they're ready to go. I think they understand what's being put in front of them.
They've been that guy in their region, so it's not like they're not used to winning. But their hearts are definitely pumping. This is beating Banny after, especially some of the comments
this is the hardest thing.
made.
This is the hardest thing they've ever done.
yeah, exactly, right?
The comments they've made, they definitely feel really high up. And I think at this point in time, you have to show respect to Ball's LAN team. It's not like they're just like, oh, this is easy, we'll get through. I think they are now a little wary because Froyo probably made a little bit of that mistake previously, being like, these are our domestic rivals. We've dealt with these people in the past. They're not a full team. There's no way we should worry. And they lost. And then G6, similarly, probably weren't taking him that seriously. Lose a map. It's you gotta minute 1, you gotta be ready for what's going to be coming.
I mean, in a vacuum, you have Jay, international LAN champion, Slemnish, runner-up at an international LAN champion. I mean, Artist is a invite winner, high five, invite winner, second place LAN finisher at RGL LANs. I mean, this roster is star-studded. I mean, Zilly again, second place runner-up when he was on G6. This roster is stacked regardless, no matter how you put it. So it's insane, and you're absolutely right. You cannot sleep on these guys, and I think Witness Gaming Australia just needs to calm themselves down, which I'm sure they already have, get themselves locked in and understand, give these guys the same respect and treatment as you would, the other Froyo was a top 3 team. Give them the same respect.
I got one last thing. Let's go Balls.
Let's go Balls.
BLT, let's go Balls.
Let's go Balls. So, I guess, I'm not sure if casters are ready. I guess give me a shout if they are. If not, we go casters?
We're good.
Okay, let's go casters.
Go the
So
casters.
take it away, our two casters, because we have Balls Land team up against Witness Gaming Australia to try and find themselves back in this lower bracket final tomorrow. But they've got to get through the semi-final. Take it away to our casters.
Let's go, Balls.
I love skis.
What?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the lower bracket semifinals. My name's Tcmano. I am joined by the amazing Wild Rumpus, who we have managed to lock down for this cast.
Right.
So I'm very I had to get one in there. You know what I mean? You said you heard almost all of them. I had to get one of those name
Right.
puns in there, but. No, we have so much amazing TF2 already happening, and we heard them talk about it. Obviously, the Frotech versus Witness Gaming Australia. Regardless of what happens after this LAN, that is going to be one of the moments, one of the defining moments of this LAN. But like they said, they can't let that victory go to their heads, Witness Gaming Australia, because they've got to face against the Balls Land team if they want any chance of breaking that fourth place curse.
Yeah, absolutely. And this upcoming match is both going to be very, very exciting and very fun to watch, but simultaneously kind of heartbreaking because of this tournament, these two teams have been kind of the two Cinderella teams that have really been outperforming their expected performance. But it's going to be very exciting as well because these are looking like very evenly matched teams as well. So despite the fact that I don't want to see either of these teams go home, it's going to be some good TF2 nonetheless.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, both these teams have been very, very even. It's interesting you say that because both of them had close games against Frotech. Both of them won against Frotech in those close games, and now they're going to be going up head-to-head against each other. And you can only assume, by transitive property or whatever, if they have close games against a common enemy, then they must have close games against each other as well. So hopefully we're going to be in for a very exciting best of three. But of course, the first map is going to be Snakewater, which was picked by Witness Gaming Australia, I believe.
Interesting, because this is the map that they had a lot of trouble against Witness EU on.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder what motivates this to be the pick, right? Because it's one thing to not ban it and leave it in and have the other team pick it and be okay with that, but you can only pick one map in this position to start on, and they chose this one.
Yeah, no, it is, because, I mean, it is really kind of like the mood setter for the best of three. If they come into this, and they immediately take the first couple of rounds, they're putting themselves in the spot of, like, the team to beat. Even if they end up losing it, they're still in that position of suddenly, instead of, it's equal chance anyone has to win, suddenly now, it's your game to lose, and it's the other team's game to win, because, like, you've kind of established yourself. And that's a very strong position to be in, just from a mental point of view and how you view yourself in comparison to your opponent,
Yeah, and again, I mean, the fact that Witness Gaming AU's match against Froyo was so recently means that the adrenaline surely has not worn off quite yet.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be pumped going into this. Now, whether that works to their favor or not, we'll have to see, but it's very easy to be in that same rhythm that you just won with because you were, in that moment, I suppose, and being able to clutch it out against Froyo. If you continue that same moment against a different team, it might not work out the same way, and they might be better off readjusting.
No, that's 100% true. I mean, that's something that we've kind of talked about with a few other teams, something that people have said maybe potentially about Freyotech. They've spent so much time domestically kind of molding their gameplay to be very good against like a G6, and we saw that in the regular season. We saw that in the Invite Grand Finals. They were able to defeat like a G6, but now they come to this LAN, and suddenly they're just not having that type of success because some of their strategies have been molded against one specific opponent. And, for both of these teams, they have to make sure that they don't fall into that trap. Both of them have got to be feeling good. Obviously, Witness Gaming Australia, in their most recent game against Frotech, have to be feeling good. But even Ball's LAN team, they have to make sure that they come into this recognizing what Witness Gaming Australia have on the field, and they don't fall into any pitfalls of their own.
Yeah, because we do keep talking about the fact that Witness AU just beat Froyo, just knocked them out, and it's historic. Of course, it's a huge game. But it's easy to forget Froyo was only in the lower bracket because Balls upset them on the first round of playoffs.
Exactly. No, yeah, it is. I mean, it's an insane story because, and it's so fascinating that both these two teams are going to play. Both of the quote-unquote Froyo killers in playoffs are coming now head-to-head to try and see which one is going to be able to claim a podium spot at bare minimum in this LAN. And it doesn't need to be said, but I'm not going to say that one of them is wanting it more because both of these teams want to win.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but one of them has got the entire weight of a region on their shoulders. They've got history, they've got baggage, and not just the ones at their hotel that they have got to, put away. Of course, I'm talking about Witness Gaming Australia. They are trying to desperately break this 4th place curse. Team Immunity couldn't do it. Jasmine T couldn't do it, but hope is still with them right now to see if they can be able the ones to do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, where everyone on balls has already played at multiple North American LANs. Now, granted, this LAN definitely is special compared to those, but, I mean, if you're interested in playing against Froyotech or you're interested in playing against G6, these players can do that and do that basically as these LANs get scheduled. Whereas Witness Australia, this is not something that happens every once in a while. Much rarer than that, in fact. So, yeah, there might be some added pressure on top of that. Ooh, and actually, oh, never mind. That's Witness readying up, so.
Oh, I think we are
Oh,
going
we are
live.
ready,
Yeah,
actually.
you're right.
Okay.
No, you got it right. All right, so we are going to be going live with the lower bracket semifinals. It is going to be Witness Gaming Australia versus Balls LAN Team, aka BLT for short. But we're going to be going live on the very first map of this BO3, Snakewater. Just going to be watching the soldiers to see if they go for any very fast shenanigans. Seems like they're just going to be opting to take their time at the moment, not really committing as far as it, just kind of playing the spam game, maybe feeling each other out. I say that the soldiers over down, going immediately in, is going to be taken down. Jay, but Connor on the Zilly, that's going to be a great opening pick for him. He was going so well against Fryotech, immediately extending that over. Now, Lau is going to be left alive. They're going to have to back immediately up because they only have 3 players up. And even though it is 3 for 3, they just don't want to risk it, so they're going to back up and now re-enter with heals. Yeah,
I mean, that was just very straightforward mid from Witness Gaming. You see it a lot of times, the double bomb, just kill the medic, leave with your own, and refight. It's happening now. Cookie actually does die. Meanwhile, down dying to a lock and load pipe as well. Obviously, Witness Gaming Australia were trying to dry push that point, maintain their Uber ad. But now they're in a position that's really uncomfortable because they're down 2, they have the Uber advantage. You don't want long-term to just give balls the mid for nothing.
No, you don't, and they really want to try and take advantage of this. They don't want to be down any ground as much as they possibly can. They are going to have to wait for their scout and their other soldier to get back up, and that's only going to take a couple seconds now. Here they are. They can still take this Uber, but the thing is, it's so close. You can already see Zilly at 80%. They could still go with it, but they would have to make sure they execute it perfectly. Seems like they're not going to risk it for the biscuit. Maybe they're gluten-free, and they don't want that in their system. So they're just going to be standing over on second. They're going to lose their Uber advantage, but they're not going to have anything further disastrous happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, the good tracking, to be honest, because they basically understood exactly the position they were in. They had a chance to maybe take the Uber as the players were rolling out and just have those players be a sort of delayed flank. But nonetheless, now that things are even, it is a proper stalemate. Balls team in the driver's seat, they have mid, they basically choose what to do and when. And it looks like it will be high 5 taking some space through Cheese, but Enrith finding a nice trap kill basically will squander that sack and give Witness the opportunity to counter sack.
Yep, Slimnish goes down. It could be interesting to see if maybe he comes up on Sniper or Spy. Probably Sniper. We haven't really seen that much Spy, actually, outside of kind of Froyotech. Banny, actually, running it on product a couple of times from what I remember. Not too many Spy shenanigans so far in this land, but maybe as the pressure gets higher, we'll see some wackier and wackier off classes as teams try more and more to get the other one, catch them off guard.
Yeah, and honestly, Spy is like comparatively a little stronger on LAN at times because it's harder to hear a decloak. But notably, Witness AU did not actually send a player in a countersack. No one died. So now that the spawner is here, looks like High 5 is just attempting to go behind yet again. This time it will be High 5 dying, no sticky trap getting the pick. Yeah, not really a viable attempt at getting the force on Lau there. Kind of just got 2v1'd. In the future, I expect if Ball's team are going to go for a similar type of play, the fact that they draw 2 players back means that we might see more pressure from the front, or they might just try something else.
Yeah, you know, if those 2 players go back for high five again, you can maybe take a little bit of space over by Saw, or even better, over in yard, and kind of use that and try and build some momentum off there. But still, it is going to be the Balls land team in the driver's seat, but high five is up on Sniper. He is going to be the one. We thought maybe it was going to be Slemnish, but no, high five has taken that into his hands. But Slemnish, actually, speaking of him, he does go down probably over by Saw, trying to lock down the flank in that moment in time, and that's just going to send the Balls land team back over onto mid, but we can already see Witness Gaming Australia, they're not going to do anything too risky here. They're just going to be standing on second, maybe go for the round reset.
60 seconds left as well. I mean, Sniper is good into this point in the sense that there are good sight lines. However, a very common counterplay is shoving the flank. And that's against Sniper in any map on a mid to second stalemate like this. But with the speed with which Witness Gaming reacted and were able to get that pick onto Slemnish was pretty remarkable, because by the time that High Five took his first shot, they were already springing that trap as Dingo bombing through does go down, but Cookie will be dying actually. Dingo is still surviving, just raining off stickies, does get the force as well. 3 kills for 2, and the Uber gets popped from Witness Gaming AU. Overall, considering the fact that, oh, Zilly used Uber as well, so this is actually totally fine for Witness Gaming AU. We're looking at a reset.
Yeah, we are looking at a reset. I thought maybe that Witness Gaming Australia would have gone in because, sure, they had both used Ubers, but they did have player advantage, also considering the fact that one of the players on Ball's land team was a sniper. They could have muscled their way in if they really wanted to, but I guess what that says to me, Wild Rump, is that, you know, they picked this map, and maybe they picked this map because of their mids, and they're so confident about their mids that they're happy to go to the round reset and try and do something there.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, just slow play there from Balls. Having the sniper during the exchange, obviously Sniper's just bad during exchanges in general, so a little bit of a lack of foresight. Nonetheless, on this mid, again, the start of the mid looking relatively the same as far as pace is concerned. Just looking for little bits of height here, little bits of spam there, trying to create an opportunity before springing the trap. It will be down, bombing across onto height, does materialize into just a fade bomb. Again, no one committing yet. Big debt there onto Enrith, forced all the way back. That might encourage some counter aggression. Bombs come out, Cookie dies, down goes down. Oh my god, Dingo is behind, as is High Five. It's just Enrith and Lau. Silva will meet up with them, but at this point, it's just these 3 players against the 2 soldiers behind. Silvo getting that 1 kill, and do they know, are they looking behind? Because if they know that it is Dingo behind, it looks like they are sitting pretty. Lau is in no risk at the moment, so yeah, potential mid to last scenario here for Witness Gaming Australia.
Yeah, Dingo's still in behind. They know about him. That soldier spotted them on their rollout. So they are going to have a little eye in the back of their heads, making sure Dingo doesn't sneak up on them, because it's bad to, you know, get pincered like that. It's even worse when you know about the player behind, and at that point, you know, it's just your own team's ignorance and kind of failing to do something. But instead, they're going to be rushing in. Oh my God, Connor onto Slemnish, immediately opening things up. And now it's a question of, can Dingo get back to the rest of his team? The Uber's coming in. They're going to take down the sentry gun. They're getting a lot of cap time on the point. Cookie's just sitting on it. Oh, he's just mowing everyone down. And that is going to be the first round for Witness Gaming Australia.
Yeah, that is just incredible. I mean, first of all, a lot of teams are going to just push into last there, recognizing the guy behind, not worth chasing, not worth doing anything. In fact, the fact that it's a soldier means that's 1 fewer bomb on the point you have to deal with. But I love how Connor didn't even peek for a sniper. He just bombed in knowing it would be there. And again, like the pace. Any other sniper is going to see that soldier peek and then be maybe a little ready to back up. But against Connor, he's already in your face getting that kill.
Yeah, really great initiation from Witness Gaming Australia as we come in onto the third mid, but only the second round. We have to see what they got. Seems like the Soldier's going to be going for a fade bomb, not going to be committing, just trying to scare off a little bit of the Balls Land team, see if they can maybe get a little bit of space. Artist just trading good damage across the way.
Oh,
actually,
man.
Oh, that's going to be a very weak Silva. Goes down. That's going to be a Soldier levitated up in the sky. Slemnish getting two immediately. Really great opening stuff there for his team, and that should be enough to secure the mid for Balls Land team.
Honestly, that was looking like it was going to end up a little bit worse than it did. The fact that it only turned out for a 2-for-1 trade means that Witness AU, I was going to say much more comfortable fighting this, but Artist with a couple nice pipes. Down goes Enrith as well. And suddenly Lau does have to use Uber in that position as well, just not to die. So full advantage for Zilly, and look at the pace from Balls. They are already taking it through lower.
They are already taking it, and the question is, can they defend on Witness Gaming Australia? They got their soldiers jumping all around down, getting levitated up in the sky. Kenny Nuke onto the demo. He does a lot of damage, and it seems like the scout might try and follow it up, but the unfortunate thing is, Wild Rumpus, is that you can get as many kills as you like. If you don't block the point, you're not winning the game.
Yeah, and I mean, that I suppose is technically a mid to last, but not the way it usually goes down. I mean, there was a very even fight as far as, you know, numbers are concerned on second. You have a guy capping on mid, even numbers, but I don't know, Balls just found a couple kills, and those kills transitioned into a really good last push.
Yeah, and so we've kind of been a little bit mixed here on the mids. Witness Gaming Australia having some early aggression and some early success with it, but it seems like Balls Land team are starting to finally come into their own down once again with the fade. Now going to be trying to commit with his buddy and see if they can get anything. Going to be wrapping around. Super weak, just collapsing in, and great stuff getting onto Zilly and Jay down. Also getting onto High Five. It's just emulsioning. They kept Lau alive. They've only expended their two soldiers, the perfect mid potentially for Witness Gaming Australia, as it's only going to be Dingo and Artist, and neither of them are in position to really do something here on second.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just Witness Gaming Australia soldiers are goated, and we all know this, but they are getting so much value here. A soldier getting a trade with like another soldier is pretty neutral overall. A soldier getting a kill onto a medic is fantastic, of course, but having both of those happen, I mean, you are just in such a fantastic position. Witness don't even have to like concede space on mid and refight it. Yeah, this is wonderful.
It is wonderful, and it's going to be even more wonderful for Witness Gaming Australia if they're going to be able to convert this push. They use in. Haven't taken down the center gun just quite yet. Cookie trying to play the point. Going to be getting a little bit of captain. Gets bombed by the soldiers, and going to get reflash. Gets taken down. Going to be an even trade, but Artist, no stickies on the point. It seems like the picks are going their way. They're standing on top of the point, trying to make a break for it. Silvo, can he do anything? He's got to be in a 1v2 against a scout, and a medic doesn't have it. Oh, his medic was still there. Lau trying to go for it onto the point. Not going to be able to make it work, and that is going to be the Balls Land team defending their last.
I'm actually shocked that that much cap time was able to be ticked up just by Enrith standing on it, because there were a lot of big issues with that push. I mean, the gun never went down, and they used a lot of the Uber just flashing Cookie on point, who was trying to cap the whole time. So yeah, a lot of, and actually immediate pop through here. Artist gonna be bombing deep. Good damage onto Lau, but so far no kills. And in fact, Enrith is able to find a trap pick on Dingo. So now with the usual flip-flop, when you use in and the other team, their medic doesn't die, well, now they have they can re-push into the point you just won. Only this time, Balls team lost a kill on Dingo.
Yep, the good thing for Balls Land team here is that even though this is a leapfrog situation, like you said, there's a little bit of time before Witness Gaming Australia are actually going to have their Uber, so that does allow Balls Land team two things. Maybe they can build a little bit better than Witness Gaming Australia and make it not that big of an Uber advantage, or they can just make sure they get into position and be in the perfect defensive spots.
Evens, yeah.
Oh, they are playing it even.
Actually makes sense considering the fact that Lau was such a late death on mid, or excuse me, on last. He was literally the last player to die. So it's just really good heads up tracking there from Zilly to be like, hey, we can use here basically for free, take the point way easier than we would for a dry push. And the margins for their ad are going to be so thin, it's not worth taking. Ooh, what a rocket there from Connor. Yeah, kind of shutting down High Five completely, and that is our first double sack into second from Balls.
It is our first double stack. We'll see if Witness Gaming Australia get aggressive off of this. They are going to have down go in. Silvo as well going to be rushing forward. They are able to get the force out onto Ball's land team. Slim is just trying to connect anything. There's a very, very weak soldier, but they just barely miss him. He's just barely staying alive. How? Someone killed this man. He's waiting for an arrow. Jay gets onto Silvo. Amazing scattergun shots. Connor is going to be taken down with a nice pipe from Artist, and it seems like Ball's land team, what was looking pretty rough for them, has kind of transformed into maybe fightable. But the thing is, Witness Gaming Australia have Uber, just barely use him in nick of time. High Five is going to be able to force that one out, gets the force, and is going to be able to secure his team Uber advantage.
Though.
Yeah, they're just immediately in.
Yeah, I don't know if I like, oh my god, just like that down, able to find Zilly. Cookie going down and Enrith dying as well. Witness really should probably get out of here lest their medic get salvaged upon. But I'm really not a fan of them staying in mid there because the numbers were not in their favor. It's not like the other team didn't have heals. The only advantage that Witness Gaming AU actually had there was Uber advantage, and that's a position where you don't want to use your Uber advantage. So I think they could have pumped the brakes a little bit, made sure that Loud doesn't have to use to anything, and maybe gotten more value. At the very least, they would have mid right now.
They would have mid, but luckily for them, they do still have Uber advantage. So I'm going to be trying to get in onto mid, make sure that they dodge all those sticky traps that are littered right by Saw. Seems like they're going to be dropped down through window and instead take it through kitchen, but they already lose a soldier down, going to be taken down by nice stickies from Artist. They're trying to chase anyone else they possibly can. They're not going to find anyone. There is a soldier behind. It is Dingo. This should be an easy kill for them, but they've already lost so many on mid. I didn't even see how, and now they're just going to have to back up, and it's going to be Uber advantage for them, but they're just jumping in onto Zilly. Oh my god, Connor doing so much damage, not enough to get the force though, or the kill.
Yeah, just textbook re-aggression there. I mean, the push didn't materialize in too much. They got forced in Saw. High Five died for it, of course, but with the amount of damage he got and getting the force, honestly, plenty of consolation. And yeah, players behind able to get kills. I mean, Dingo finding a pick and living for some time after was enough to bring the combo back, and the re-aggression has earned Ball's team 10 ad here into last. They're taking it, but Lau already at 95. We are going to see Witness Gaming have Uber here. Can they defend with it? We'll have to see.
We have to see down. Going to be able to take down Jay. Artist just getting launched all the way around. Connor getting two, and then now Cookie on top of the point. Going to be shooting High Five out of a sky. Doing well to protect his medic. There is a lurker. It is Dingo. Might be able to get the rocket onto Cookie. That's going to force people back at bare minimum to try and deal with him. All of this is just to be time wasted off the clock, and a little bit better for his team Zilly to try and build up Uber, but still, that's going to be a good defense from Australia.
Yeah, importantly, Zilly dying there means that the fact that Lau used on last doesn't matter, it's still ad. And Dingo, of course, was never going to win there. All he's doing by buying that time and keeping the other team on last, oh man, Balls are sending, not only did Artist die, but High Five just commit as well, and that's 2 kills. This should be a very effortless dry push. Slumdish as well shoving the flank, dies. That's 3 kills now. That's interesting because you can potentially stuff a dry push that's happening right now, considering the fact Loud didn't have Uber. 70%, you can play aggressive on those doors. But now that those kills have been materialized, now they're able to dry push very quickly and continue this ad into second.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of a trickle feeding there coming out from Ball's land team. Very unfortunate. Like you said, now they've given up so much ground. They might lose another over in lobby, just barely going to be able to get out one of his soldiers. But they're already in. Cookie is so deep here, making a play for the point. They have Uber on the side of Ball's land team, and they are going to use, they should have known on Witness Gaming Australia. They're just going to try and back out Zilly with the aggressive arrow. It's going to help take down Lau. Slemnish and Jay finding one apiece. Connor's going to be able to get onto Jay, and it's looking pretty good for Ball's land team. They're going to have heals, they're going to have player advantage, and that should be all they need to push out of last.
Yeah, I think they got a little ahead of themselves there. They definitely thought it was still marginal ad. Maybe because they were able to transition through mid so quickly without having Uber yet, but it was still 30% at the end of the day. That being said, there is a refight here. Despite the fact that Lau died in his diss at Zilly, not having Uber yet means that he cannot save himself from the full sellout. Ooh, but Lau will be caught as well, so it will be 6 players traded out for the medic. Overall, favors Ball's team because they're able to at least cap second in mid here, but things will slow down after that, assuming no one gets denied in a crazy manner, which doesn't seem to be happening. And both meds spawning roughly the same time. No real advantage in that department. High five going down here again. Might encourage, oh yeah, and actually the door's not being held. Artist dies now. And Silly died as well again.
They just all melted. They just all got nuked by the combined forces of Connor and Down Jay trying to fight to try and get onto Lau's life, but that's not going to happen. And I mean, that was looking so good for Ball's land team. Sure, both medics had gone down, but they had gotten onto mid. They were about to cap it up.
Yeah, these are picks into last as well, because mid never got capped.
It's so incredible. And now, like you said, Witness Gaming, they're already on last. You can see them trying to spawn it down. There's going to be a big sack coming in onto the medic. High five doing so much damage. Lau couldn't even use if they wanted to. Maybe they would if they had, but still, they're going to be super weak. Now just going to have Uber. They're going to be rushing across the point with it just collapsing onto all of these players. Down with some nice rockets onto Slim. Just going to be shooting up at Artist, doing some great damage. Artist surfing in onto the combo. It's too little, too late. They get their second round, Rumpus.
That was very scary because so many players from Balls were very, very weak and very easy to clean up, but they weren't dying. And that just shows that there was some chaos happening and maybe a lack of focus fire. But that fight on mid is really what put them in that position. And honestly, that was Balls slipping up. I mean, High Five was peeking very aggressively, but no one else was on a door. They were quite passive, and their spam allowed Witness Australia to just flood very quickly. And of course, their pace is very fast, and yeah, just another example of that.
Another example. Well, Witness Gaming Australia are going to need a few more if they still want a chance at winning this, because it's only 2-1, and we've got a bit of time before continuous overtime. Downseek in Kitchen, and a little bit of a 1v1 soldier battle with High Five. Not going to really commit onto it as his upper buddy Connor takes control of the high ground. Now Down, going to be going in, fades away, just going to die in the sky. As Silvo, very aggressive over on but Demo Man, just going to be able to pistol him down just barely. No! Artist protects himself with a nice pipe, but still, he's too weak. Zilly's too weak. They're gonna have to give it up.
Yeah, just, I mean, explosive is kind of an understatement for that mid. But I think one highlight that I've been seeing pretty consistently from Witness AU soldiers is they'll go into a position, they know they've been spotted in that position, and a lot of soldiers become way less effective there. They're very much reliant on an element of surprise, but they're still able to find timings and still able to find a way to commit from that position despite the fact the other player or the other team knows they're there and get value. That was something we saw from Connor, who bombed behind Saw, but still found himself a perfect timing on Catwalk on a mid. And I think on this mid as well, Down, who went behind Kitchen, was spotted, was fighting High Five, and still got a good bomb off.
Silvo up on Sniper. They have opted to work away from the bombs, at least for the meantime. Not to say that you can't bomb with a sniper. Sometimes that is the best way, because teams are, once they see the sniper, they get in the anti-sniper positions, and sometimes those anti-snipers positions can be a little bit better for soldiers to take advantage of if the enemy team isn't expecting it. But at the moment, we're going to try and run this sniper before they maybe try and go for anything too aggressive, like a double sack or a sack with a sniper out on the field. Silvo just going to be running around. He's going to try and keep these angles, try cycling through them, because on Sniper, you don't want to stay in the same place. Oh, he's going in so deep here. He's at risk of getting bombed. He's trying to go for some type of hero shot. I don't know if he's going to get it. He does get both. He's taking so much damage eventually, though. He does fall.
Yeah, I mean, just aggressive peek there, and that shows, I mean, Balls, they were just very passive because of those sight lines. They're getting stuffed a little bit on the spam department here. In the Saw on the counter sack. We might actually see Down on a timing just commit. Lands on Zilly. So much damage. Zilly surfs out and milks that Uber. Very much trusting the fact that there's no one in a position to actually land spam. The only threat is that one soldier, and his assessment is, of course, correct. I want to point out, though, that Witness Australia, their hold for that sniper. Oh, actually, no, there's a big thing happening here. An exchange through Saw. We're going to see if Balls team are able to get any kills for this post. It will be a fight between Cookie finding a kill onto Jay. Health not good at all for Witness. They are healing up now. Picks are even overall, but Dingo might be a little out of position here, and getting a chase will be killed in lower. And off of those kills and Uber's out of the way, we can expect to see Witness Australia taking some space here on second.
Yeah, you can see Cookie trying to make his way in, just making sure to clear all this. He's a big bomb coming in from Connor, doing a lot of damage, and Cookie is going to follow up on it, gets the kill onto Silly. No one, okay, down is going to go down. I thought maybe he was going to get out. It was looking unlikely. He had 3 hit points, but he's going to be taken out over and lower. Jay's thinking about hiding here, but they are all hands on deck to try and get either the kill onto Lau or the Force. Either works. They prefer the kill, but you know, in this moment, they're not going to be too picky, Rumpus.
Yeah, I mean, another one of those classic examples of both our soldiers die to kill their medic and our medic leaves. In this case, Lau was like almost not even in to begin with. He was well out of there. And because of that, it is now plenty of advantage pushing to second. And a late soldier kill as well is definitely going to favor Witness Gaming Australia here. And look at this pace. They are already through top left, bombing deep. Looks like they might even have time to cross with this Uber if they were so inclined, but there's a gun. There's a heavy on the other side. Enrith is trying to lay down the hurt. They still have this kill on high five from earlier, but it is not materializing into too much yet. So much cap time, but kills are going in the favor of Ball's team, and it's looking like things have settled here. Lau is fully out as well. Silvo and Lau decided to depart from that push very early on. And at the very least, that means that it's not going to be as much Uber disad as it would have been if they come in and died. But nonetheless, Ball's team now very much in the driver's seat with this advantage into mid.
Yeah, in the driver's seat, and it was very unfortunate because, you know, they had a lot of space, but they didn't get cap time. They weren't getting kills, but now we can see them pushing, and they're going to use the Uber Slim. It's just immediately annihilating down with some well-placed scattergun shots, and that's going to be the only pick that this Uber gets, but I mean, at bare minimum, getting the point. Oh, but they're immediately coming back in, and Zilly might be caught out. It is going to get taken down. Connor with a nice rocket gets onto the medic. Silvo finding Dingo as well. Art is going to be able to protect himself. Some demo and demo violence takes down Enrith. We are going to see some backup shenanigans coming out from both scouts, and this is going to be so difficult for them to deal with because these are two so insane scouts, but down just makes it look easy. Never mind, down is just incredible.
Dude, Witness soldiers are something else. Down decides to just solo bomb, get a free force, and I love the pace on the repop. The second that Witness get the Uber, everyone is caught. And then Down, having just got the force and it secured his team that fantastic Uber, on the rollout decides to stop the back cap as well.
Amazing stuff. We can see some bombs coming in. High five trying to do a lot of damage over towards Saw. Is eventually going to be taken down, not by Down. He's over on the point. Just going to be trying to rebomb as Dingo comes in. Tries to get onto Loud. Gets a lot of damage. Jay falls off. Gets the pick. That's going to be expert stuff. But Silvo looks like he wants to wrap around. Get onto Silly. They can get the medic here. They're fighting over on the scout. Can Jay defend? Can Jay defend? He does it!
God.
Oh
that
my
is
God.
Unbelievable. And he wants more. Enrith, yeah, a little too aggro there. Oh my God. What a play from Jay there. And things were looking very sketchy for Ball's team because there was maybe even round implications if Silvo gunned it to last and the other scout capped. A lot of cap time on 2. So yeah, absolutely well played from Jay, but that's something we can kind of expect from him at this point.
Yeah, that's true. He is known for being a beast on every single class, honestly. You know, it doesn't matter what you put him on. Even on Medic, you know, he's had a stint last season on Medic on the Cell, I believe they were called, and even then he flourished. So an all-rounder, a beast at the game, and he's showing it tonight here at the Physgun Fireside Denver 2025 LAN. These teams trying to compete, and you know, the thing is, obviously, they win this, they're guaranteed a podium spot, which is great, but they still got another match tomorrow, the lower bracket finals against Witness Gaming Europe. So a lot more TF2 for any of these teams if they win tonight, but first they gotta win, and for Witness Gaming Australia, that means trying to figure out some way to break into the second point.
Yeah, starting off, it looks like they have 5 players trying to pressure Saw. I mean, the main thing stopping Saw from being a door you can just walk through is the soldier on pipe, and then the demo rotate afterwards when it's identified that you're committing. As I say that, Down just gonna commit. It's so weird how he's able to find these timings because it doesn't look like a super inspired bomb, but he's still getting enough rockets off that if he hits it, it works, and I don't know. But nonetheless, single sack, so, I mean, only so much that Balls can do on the counter sack. It doesn't even look like they're trying to pressure. They are just playing for this reset, which, I mean, round is about halfway done, so maybe a little more than that actually. But yeah, Balls team just waiting to see what is going to happen.
Yeah, they're just waiting to see it. We're very, very close to infinite overtime, actually, around about 2 minutes before it. So it's looking like it's going to be a 3-something game, unless Witness Gaming Australia are able to sneak a very quick round in the next couple of minutes. But they lose one over on Silvo. Looks like the Balls team wanted to get a little bit aggressive there. They're peeking over into Saw. Jay still lurking around over there, is going to back up. And now it's going to be 50 seconds. We might see an Uber exchange here if they Witness Gaming Australia don't have any other ideas.
Yeah, usually you have one of two options. You either, oh man, I really thought I really thought I was about to jinx it and reveal a third option of Zilly getting 2-rocketed. But no, usually in a position like that, your two options for if you're not just giving it up and letting the reset happen are an Uber exchange and you try and play the post, or you just send enough sacks and they're going for the former option. Blau actually almost dropping. The other option, of course, being sacking so many players that you likely get the force and likely entice the other team to push out. The exchange, however, really not going well at all, in fact, for Witness Gaming. This bomb from down could be very important. No, because if Zilly died there, then what's happening right now might not be happening, which is the fact that Lau dying means that suddenly Balls team pushing out and avoiding the reset is very favorable for them, because Zilly now has 50 ad. And if they're able to transition into second sometime before that's 100%, then they can go fast into last and play this Uber for a round.
Ooh, Silvo is up on Sniper, and you know, that's kind of one of the things that if you can guarantee a pop, they might be in an okay position in a Sniper, especially one on Bats, especially if Silvo makes his presence known. It's going to force Balls Land team to either play so fast, but instead they are just going to immediately pop. I don't even think the Sniper was necessary, and they really pop onto no one, which if your Balls Land team isn't the worst thing in the world, because you're betting on the fact that Witness Gaming Australia aren't going to push out even with their Uber advantage, which honestly, as you can already see, Cookie on Engineer is maybe a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I mean, it is 60 ad, which in theory is something you want to play at a last, but that theory is in your average game, and this is not your average game. This is map one of the most important matches of Witness Gaming Australia's career. Actually, Silvo is able to find not just one, but a second headshot here onto Dingo after killing High Five. Very aggressive peeks out of lobby. Does get spammed out. But yeah, they're definitely in it for the long haul, letting Balls team get their Uber charge.
I'll let you know something, Mr. Rump, is High Five is on the battalion's backup.
Yes. Yeah, and this is a unlock that is actually banned in ETF2L. I'm not sure what the whitelist is for Oz Fortress, but this is an interesting unlock because it gives you a very streamlined way to win a round. As I mentioned earlier, one of those options that teams have to avoid a round reset is taking an Uber exchange and playing the post. What's interesting is with the battalion's backup, that charge is so powerful defensively, it's almost like a mini Uber, and it's essentially a dry fight winner. So for a post Uber, if you can just get the banner, exchange Ubers, and play your banner in the post, you're very likely to win that round, and it's a really strong strategy as a result. Now granted, in the North American config with a 4-minute round timer, you need to build the banner. And High Five has to take these aggressive peaks and potentially get punished for doing so.
Yeah, he might potentially get punished if they take a little bit too much time, as like you said, we're halfway through the round timer, 2 minutes left. So a little bit of a move on, and it's all going to be on High Five to really try and get some damage, because as you can see, they're not doing anything else on Balls Land team. And if you're Witness Gaming Australia, you have to be thinking, all right, do they have a spy? Can we see all 6 of them in front?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Okay, what else could it be? Maybe they've seen the banner on High Five. He's been peeking lower a lot, so they probably should know. But even if you do know, it's one thing knowing, it's another thing playing against it and being able to nullify it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I actually agree with how this banner is being played, because yes, you don't want to do anything too drastic until it's built, but you're not building it particularly effective just peeking your soldier into last, because usually the spam on those doors really favors the defenders. You need to put a lot of work in to build that banner. And maybe you can still be sacking during this time and build the banner on the counter sack pressure, really disincentivize that. Basically, Ball's team have put all their eggs in this battalion basket, and if it doesn't work out, then maybe they'll have wished they had sacked more and taken those opportunities. But as I say that, I'm assuming the banner is built because the Uber is being taken, but such a milk from Lau. This is not an Uber exchange. This is just proper Uber advantage for Witness Gaming Australia. They still have not had to use. At this point, ooh, down goes down actually, which might be a little relevant. Artist dying is quite nice. At some point, Witness wants to pop this Uber. Yeah. And it will be an absolute meat grinder. The banner actually got popped. So High Five is waiting upstairs with a nasty little treat. He's bombing onto last. Will be landing on a demo, but it's not very healthy going into that. So it's not going to work out. And yeah, I mean, the banner play just not working out. Again, Ball's team just kind of relying on that very heavily to be the one and only way to break, and it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Now they're going to be on mid. They have to worry about Witness Gaming Australia trying to push in. Oh my, Artist with a massive sticky trap getting down and Cookie. That's going to be huge. Now you can see Ball's land team, they're going to be pressuring in onto second. Even if they don't have Uber advantage, they're going to have so much space. And you know what? I think we're in for a repeat.
Yep. Aren't you glad you capped second? Because you're right back to last. They could have been fighting a mid-fight, but nope. We are back here again. I am curious this time around if High Five is going to be spawning banner yet again.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like he is on it.
Backup.
If I am one of the soldiers, okay, yeah, down is in fact on the defensive banner, which makes perfect sense here. Again, the defensive spam is a lot better than the attacking spam on these choke points into last. So I expect down is going to have an easier time getting that banner than High Five is. And that's going to, and actually, especially not if High Five is dying to stickies like he is there. And Jay dying as well. Enrith finding a great opportunity here for a potential counter sack for Witness. They haven't been counter sacking so consistently. They've been playing very reserved in these kind of positions, so they are just going to chill. But yeah, having that defensive banner means the attacking banner is kind of neutralized, not really a flowchart way to win a round.
Yep, as we can see now, High Five has decided to get off the battalion's backup. I'm not sure if maybe he's on via the man tread, which could be very, very good because Lau in a position that's really great when you have the sentry gun. Oh, Jay is on sniper. He immediately makes it worth it with the headshot onto down, and that is the enemy team's battalion's backup taken out of the equation. They know there's a sniper. They're going to have to try and play defensive around it. Aggressive bomb from Connor onto High Five, and maybe tries to get onto Jay. Gets a nice rocket. Not going to be able to do enough to get the kill, but Jay onto Connor. Amazing shot there.
Yeah, I mean, sniper as a class is something that is controversial and not very fun to play against. But Jay on sniper is the one player I would say this class is just unfair. Because there he finds another headshot onto Connor, or excuse me, on Cookie, and that's the engineer. A little bit. I was expecting that to be a soldier peeking lower to spam down the gun that can't get tanked. I'm not sure if Jay was expecting to just be able to quickscope someone before dying to the gun, but that asset is now down. And yeah, looking like this round is kind of winding down a little bit. I don't know, Ball's team, they haven't gone for a 3 or a 4-man yet. They've opted for the exchange, which went really horribly for them, so they might need to up it with something more drastic.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't go for anything once they gotten that pick from Jay, or once they'd gotten the 2 picks from Jay. They could have gone for at least a sack, maybe a 2-man, but Dingo tries to muscle his way through, but he just went through the wrong door at the wrong time. There was so much spam on that thing, and he's just going to be sent to the respawn room. Of course, there's still a little over a minute left, so him dying there is going to be too much pressure on Ball's land team, but they can really only afford to send one more sack, and then at that point, they got to try and go for another Uber exchange.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like you may have wanted to 4-man sooner, in fact. We do see 3 players go in now. Artist will not be committing, so it will just be a 3-man. But I'm not expecting to see a push out from Witness Australia. And this is why Oh, actually, nope, we are not seeing the push out. This is why I think the sack play earlier makes sense. Honestly, they had plenty of time to do so. Basically, the main thing you're worried about is if you actually get that force, you want to have enough cushion of time to take your Uber advantage and not feel pressured by the clock and forced into taking a bad push that you wouldn't have otherwise had to do with your ad. But 20 seconds left, we might see an exchange, we might see another 4-man. 20 seconds is probably just exchange territory. 4-man's too slow, as it does happen through lower. Gun goes down immediately. Artist bombing in. It's a nice pipe on the combo. Gets the force a lot earlier here, but Dingo is the first kill to go down. And I hear revenge crits coming out. Cookie does die, so does High Five and Jay. Picks are in the favor of Witness Australia. Zilly gets a kill on point, but no, it will not be enough. And man, Snakewater last, definitely a hard last to break. We're seeing that here, and Witness maybe breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah, they might be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief because they were able to withhold the tide for basically 8 minutes because they kind of did it twice in a row.
Yeah.
But now we go in on to another mid, and this could be the last one because we're in continuous overtime. It's first to 3, and Witness Gaming at 2. If they mid to last here, they could send us on to the second map already, but Ball's land team, they've got to stay into it. Seems like they're going for a very aggressive mid, immediately trying to get in onto Lau. That's going to be not a dead medic.
Lau and
Lau's
Zilly,
still
they're
alive.
hugging.
Oh my god, they both go down over in kitchen, and it's looking a lot better for the Australians. They've been able to wipe everyone on the Balls land team, and a little bit of a medic toe-to-toe going on there.
Yeah, both medics just kiting all the way up into the same lane, bumping hips. Both do end up dying, but plenty of the combat players from Witness Australia do survive. They're able to get cap time on 2, but
down.
with these spawners rolling out from Balls, it's not going to be sustained. Actually, a very aggressive stay in from Silvo, I believe. Kind of gets bailed out from Connor finding a kill during that. Both soldiers die from Witness. Silvo is still in deep and finding a kill onto Slemdish. It's now even numbers. Second has plenty of cap time as well. If they can finish off this cap, then these spawners will be on the way even faster. But Silvo dying is definitely going to release the valve on that pressure. High Five is trying to find a fast timing through Saw, make something happen. It will just be space taken, and we're going to see a dry fight here on mid. Down a player for Witness.
Yeah, it's going to be a Witness on the back foot a little bit. They're having to back up. It is even Uber, so not the worst thing in the world for them, but it's not ideal in terms of what it could have been. But it's going to be all the pressure on Ball's land team to try and be the ones to break this stalemate. We've seen them not have success breaking in onto last, but obviously second, a little bit easier than onto last. There's no sentry gun, for a matter of fact, that they have to contend with, and you can immediately see Jay taking a little bit of space over and lower. The Ball's land team going to be able to pressure in as High Five going in for a little bit of fadeaway bomb. I think he gets knocked out of the sky by a nice pipe. Oh yeah, Slemdish is in behind.
I think they know. Okay, Silvo seems to be taking the 1v1 now. This is an eventful 1v1. Meanwhile, the bomb on the bats, and both players win their fights. Enrith does die, but it gets traded out with Jay as well. Now 3 kills for 1 demo. This certainly favors Witness, and look at the flank. They are already through. They're already trying to wrap. Silvo is ready to meet. Zilly gets the force in kitchen, just like that. Wonderful pace, wonderful flank play from Witness Gaming Australia have earned themselves this Uber advantage. Ooh, but Dingo might be trying to slip behind here. Down this player, it could be scary with back cap shenanigans.
Oh, Cookie gets onto Zilly, expert stuff with that Uber. It's going to be a soldier bombing the point. It is going to be a Dingo trying to go in. High Five going to be taken down. Dingo falling around as well. Going to be running back in as a Jay, Artist, and Slim all over the point, just cleaning house, really. And that is going to be somehow what was looking really, really good for Witness Gaming Australia. A solid mid defense from from Ball's land team.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a Pyrrhic Uber completely. You could tell from they were trying to push the pace so much, catch Zilly, which they succeeded in. But in doing so, they went so quickly that their spawners weren't even on the flank yet. Saw was completely wide open. So despite the fact that they got really deep and got the kill onto Zilly, didn't end up mattering, because in the post, there's just too many players behind to account for. And of course, Lau is going to go down. And off of those kills as well. Oh man, these doors are being flooded. No sentry gun, meaning, wow, this damage onto Lau. Forced back into spawn. So much cap time, gonna draw these players in. They are all getting exploded by Artist. It is just up to Lau against Zilly. Finds the kill onto Zilly. Can he do it?
Oh my
God! No!
He almost had it. He almost had it. That should not have been that close. Oh my goodness. I mean, that a heart blue moment.
Absolutely.
Almost in the making.
Yeah.
That I mean, on the same map as well, is so close from it. But we are at a tie game 2-2. Whoever gets another round on the board is going to be the winners of this map. If you're Witness Gaming Australia, you're desperately hoping it's you because that takes them even closer to breaking that third place curse. But we've already seen that Balls land team. They're no slouches, especially with High Five going in for a very big bomb, trying to land in deep. Gets a lot of damage on the demo. Artist follows it up, and they're just cleaning house right now. But Connor gets onto Silly. Cookie finds Slenderture coming across the point. It's going to be a 2v3. Can they win out in this DM fight with the odds are not in their favor? Down, rocketing around, just trying to draw eyes, maybe allow Cookie to try and go for the cleanup, but no, it's not going to happen. There's just too much for them to contend with. That is going to be Balls land team taking the mid.
Yeah, I think what's worth noting there is because the mid went so long, these spawners are showing up sooner than they would otherwise, meaning we might see something interesting happen on second, because as I say that now, Zilly's already on to mid. Spawners are rolling out to 2. They're still in lobby, so there's a timing window to maybe make something happen. Looks like that timing has lapsed. They are just opting to get Uber first. Lau actually far better at building here, getting an extra 15%, which not something you're going to play off of your own second, especially since they have been pretty passive as far as counter sacks are concerned. Although, to be honest, they're giving back what Balls is giving them. Balls have been playing very safe with their sacks, and that's why most of the time we've seen has been Balls in the driver's seat just cooking. Usually when Witness are in the driver's seat, as we saw on second, they got really crazy really quickly, and it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah, they've been very chaotic. Slemnish again trying to go behind, but actually no, he's not noted. They do finally see him, but they're not going to chase him as Artist going to be taking a lot of space over in below ground. He's going to be coming a big bomb from High Five onto the bats. He's not going to be able to find anything. Slemnish also goes down. Dingo very weak over and Saw is going to be able to defend himself. Nice rocket onto Silvo, and that kill I think is going to slow Witness Gaming Australia
they
down.
An exchange here.
Ooh, they're playing very close.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think they're... So teams might get aggressive here to try and, spring the trap, so to say, on a team trying to pressure forward too quickly, force the exchange on them, buy time for your spawners. It's something that would make sense when you're down players, as Balls team were. It almost looked there like they actually, as I say that I think is what they were trying to do. I was going to say maybe they were calling out Witness not wanting to pressure much off of that marginal single pick. But yeah, we do have the off class coming out yet again. This time it's Slemnish picking up the rifle. Fires off that first shot, so yeah, Witness Gaming Australia now know about the sniper. We'll see how they respond.
Yep, Dingo going to be making a little bit of space over in Yard. We're going to have a very big fadeaway bomb from Connor. Not going to commit, but Saw is actually getting pushed very, very aggressively. There's a scout already on mid. Silvo in a little bit of a 1v1 with High Five. Now going to be rushing down over into lower. He gets immediately shot by Jay. That's going to be a player advantage as we see a big bomb coming in onto Zilly. Gets the force almost, but Droppy takes him down so weak. But Zilly with that trigger figure. Excellent stuff there, because otherwise that would have been a disastrous drop.
This is still very scary for Witness, though, because they are still down 3 players, despite the fact Zilly doesn't have an Uber and Lau does. Really doesn't matter that much because, yeah, just off of the kills, just off of the space, they get the force quite easily there. Both soldiers do die for that play, so there's at least some... Oh, wow, Cookie going down. It's definitely not what you want to see. At the very least, there's a sniper into last, which is not the best pushing class. And no, we'll not be going back to switch off or anything of the sort. Gun is not really being constructed either. They are opting to just build with Silvo rather than have Enrith switch to the half Zatoichi. So this sentry gun is going to be quite low level by the time this Uber is taken. So I suppose this is an Uber of a low level gun versus the sniper, both weak on either team.
Oh yeah, that Sunshine Gun was not long for the world as we see Artist getting body blocked in the sky. Jay finding a nice pick onto down, and this could be it. 4 balls landing, but no, the Uber comes out, the building pays off. Can they get the kills to make it worth it though? And it seems like they are. Cookie finding one onto Hive. There's gonna be Slemish over there, gets taken down. Zilly, however, is long out of there, all the way back out on the mid, recognizing the situation, prioritizing their life, gonna be able to meet back up with the team. It is gonna be slight dissad, but not nearly as much as it could have been.
Yeah, the fact that Zilly had no one to leave with too means that what would have been ad is in fact slight disad. And Witness are trying to peek off of this. I mean, they have a kill on Slemish, so if the doors are free, they're free, and I mean, they're taking space pretty adequately. Dingo actually getting body blocked by Silvo, who will skedaddle out of there. Some counter aggression now from Balls. What a bomb. High Five finding a kill onto Cookie, Dingo finding Silvo. That is no scouts for Witness, meaning soldier aggression from the blue team is going to be very good, but Enrith finding a very important pipe to protect his medic. And we're now back to last, as we've been plenty of times here on this map. Witness, you can never be comfortable in a position like this. Map point, if you slip up even once, you can just lose the entire game. Actually, high bomb here from High Five. Okay.
That was looking
Again.
very, very scary. Just one air shot from High Five there.
Exactly.
And that's a drop, you know, like you said. And even then, that's not necessarily a mistake from the guys on Witness Gaming Australia. That's just High Five having an amazing play. And that's kind of the thing you also put yourself into. It's like, sure, there's sometimes in this game where you don't make mistakes. It's just that the other team plays a little bit better than you.
Yeah. Paradoxically, I mean, last holds are very snug. There's a lot of defensive options you have. It's very easy to hold these doors, and it's a little cozy at times to just spam these doors and stall time. But that being said, it's also the most nerve-wracking because it is the most high stakes. Yes, this last point is the easiest to defend, but it is also the most costly to fail to defend. So we do see an attempted double sack here from Ball's team. I feel like one of these players wants to come up as an off class, but if I'm speaking truthfully, it hasn't been working that well. Okay, Jay does spawn sniper. I was gonna say, Jay has been hitting shots. So that's, I mean, what you want a sniper to do, but a sniper hitting shots does not directly force the other team's medic. It does not directly win you around. They gotta do a little more than rely on Jay being a fantastic sniper.
Yeah, they gotta hope for something like that. They gotta work with Jay and open up some opportunities for him. As at the moment, I think they know about the sniper. It's really only Enrith peeking it for the moment, and I think he should have been able to spot the dots as they're playing in a very, very safe and secure position. Jay is going to be trying to go for a little bit of peek here over on the top left. From his point of view, no one's really peeking him, and you know, that's good for them, but that does mean that everyone on the Ball's gun team can take a little bit more space as they're going to be bombing in, getting a lot of damage off, and not enough to get the force though. It is going to be a 2-for-1 trade. Slemish and High Five down for Connor, and we already know Witness Gaming Australia aren't going to do anything, but you know, this could be a chance to do it because there's no scouts on the field. If one of the soldiers wanted to go, they'd have maybe an okay shot of doing it, but they're not going to risk it for the biscuit. They're just going to stay on last. A minute 20 left, a minute 19, so you got to say it's kind of working out okay, but it's not like they've been really convincingly winning every single mid-fight as well, and that's a very big headshot from Jay.
Yeah, that's definitely going to open up a door. At the very least, a door is going to be open at any given time. It's just a matter of juggling which door for Witness, making sure that everything is held as it's being pressured. Looks like a top left peek here from Jay, just trying to find something. Now last time, this opened up enough of a window for Artist to spam down the gun. That seems to be happening yet again. Gun goes down. We might see a bomb this time. Actually, it's down bombing, trading out with the sniper. Uber comes out from Ball's team. They do get the counter force out of Lau, but things are pretty much resetting here. Actually, Connor, who was behind there, tries to make a play happen, but that's now a kill. That is a foot in the door for Ball's team into last. Heavy is definitely a very useful asset to have here, but still, back against the wall, this could be the game. Slemnish and Dingo both going down, trading out with the Heavy. Ooh, but Silvo dying on point, Artist dying. It's looking like the pieces are falling in the favor of Witness Gaming Australia. Zilly is trying to replicate what Lau almost did earlier, but just unable to. And with 2 seconds left on the clock, it will reset to another mid. And these mids are just getting scarier and scarier as is probably justified here. We have a tack pause from Cookie.
We do have a attack pause because, like you said, of course, for Witness Gaming Australia, it's great. They've gotten off of their last successfully now, and, you know, they've done this a couple times, so maybe they're feeling confident about their last holds, you know. That's okay. But the thing is, sure, they're not one mistake away on last from losing the game, but they're still, like, 1.5 mistakes away on mid from losing the game, because you can still so easily mid to last. They are not out of the woods yet. Sure, they've immediately gotten a bunch more ground that they couldn't have, that they didn't have previously, but they still have got to keep their heads in the game, and to be going for this strategy, you need to be having really great mids. And I can't say that either of these teams should be feeling too confident consistently putting themselves in this scenario, because we've seen mids go either way, and it's just so difficult to constantly be putting yourself in that make or break moment.
Well, the tack pause is up, and we are going to this very consequential mid, to say the least. As far as momentum is concerned, for sure, Ball's team have control of mid the majority. And I think that's usually because they slow things down when they're in the driver's seat, versus Witness Gaming AU are still getting very explosive and almost 3-manning off the rip at times. But nonetheless, we are looking at a new mid. Looks like an immediate double bomb this time around from Ball's team, but the full cross, Lau is now on the other team's side, and he's comfy. He's in the other team's saw. High Five and Dingo bomb to the wrong side. At this point, it's just a matter of cleaning everyone up. It's only Jay, and what a call out on the mid. Witness Gaming Australia just full sent across and ducked under the double bomb that was trying to find Lau, and now putting themselves in a position to potentially win map 1 here. They just have to convert.
I blinked, and everyone on Witness Gaming Australia were by the Balls team saw. That was absolutely insane. And like you said, they're so quick, they're so aggressive, they can be so insane at just a moment's notice. Sure, they're very cautious when they're on the defensive, but when they get aggressive, they are lightning fast, and they can be so chaotic. We're going to have to see if they're going to be able to convert, because like you said, if they do this here, they could be walking away with map 1 in their favor in the best of 3. Going to be taking in the Uber. They haven't taken down the Sentry Gun just quite yet. They haven't gotten any picks either. They have a little bit of time on the point. They get one on the high five. They get another on the
They're doing it.
No soldiers to block the point. Artist is down as well. Slemnish levitated in the air. They get onto it. And Witness Gaming Australia win map 1, getting them that much closer to breaking the curse.
Can I just say that we have not seen that many tack pauses happening? And this is a fantastic example of why you should do it. It's so easy to just focus on the game as it's happening and not take a step back and not be like, hold on, let's take a breather. The momentum's not in our favor. I mean, that's something that happens at every level of play. You need to be able to take those pauses and make it work. And here, it absolutely flips the momentum 180 in an instant, going from stuck on your own last, round reset after round reset, to mid to last, game's over.
Yeah, and you got to think that type of mid is probably something that they discussed once they knew they had gotten the round reset successfully. They're right. All right, we got to try something on this mid. We can't keep on doing what we've been doing, because even if we win a little bit, they weren't winning dominantly enough to secure that mid to last. They go for something different. It works out, and they're able to win the map. And you just got to hand it to them. Props to them. They win Snakewater 3-2. And of course, we're going to have our analysts discuss this a little bit more. But the flip thing is, anytime you do lose an enemy team's map pick, is sure, you lost the map. That always sucks. But you got to think, that was the enemy team's map. And if you are Ball's LAN team, sure, that game, you could have won it. How many chances, opportunities did they have to push into last? But at the same time, if you're able to make it that competitive on the team that the enemy thought they had the best chance of winning, how does that mean for you going into your map pick?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, on the topic of that mid-fight plan, it's interesting that their strategy just so happened to perfectly counter a mid-fight that Balls had not done yet. They had not done a fast double soldier bomb, and they did it the one mid that Witness Australia was countering it, which is just, it's incredible. And also as well, the fact that they are just running their med down left lane with everything on the line. I don't see Twitch chat, but I do know when teams aren't counter-sacking and when teams are taking things slow and when teams are okay taking the reset when they're on their side of the map, all blame gets shifted onto them that they're the ones stalemating. But keep in mind, when they were in the driver's seat, they were sending it. They were making things happen. They were reciprocating the amount of aggression that Ball's team was giving them, spawning up sniper, doing pretty safe sacks. So I don't know. I mean, that mid definitely demonstrates they are very much playing cautious when it makes sense to, but taking the risks necessary to get the edge on the opponents.
No, yeah, they definitely are. It's like you said, once they're on the defensive, they play defensive, maybe a little bit too conservatively so for some people, but when they're on the offensive, it is just chaos, and they've shown that usually when they go for that chaos, there's a reason, and they're able to make it work. And it makes you, it gives a little bit more confidence to the reason when they play the defensive and when they go on the offensive. But I think we are going to have some analysts soon. But, I mean, I don't know if we have any logs that we can take a little
I'm not sure.
Back at.
Yeah, let me actually pull this up and see.
We can take a little cursory glance at the logs right before we send it to the analysts.
Oh,
you know,
that is...
give them something to digest.
Okay,
all right, we're gonna send it to the.
Yeah, we're baiting you on the logs for now. I don't know if they're gonna go over it. They might if they are so inclined. But yeah, see you guys on the couch.
Oh, I see something big.
Hello and welcome to the desk. Thank you, Tcmano and Wild Rumpus. What a game. What an epic affair. Fast-paced, exciting TF2 as Snakewater usually brings. But it was the Australians coming out on top on that one. This time around, though, we've got some new guests. We've got Bomo here joining Marmaloo. How are you doing? What are your thoughts on that, Bomo? How are you feeling?
I think that was a really fun game to watch. It was very close. I missed like the first couple of mids, but it seemed like Australia was like more comfortable on mids and Balls was like winning back from it, and then they were struggling really on the last holds. I think
No one's looked really good at breaking that so far.
Yeah, it looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is the Snakewater effect, but the sniper was starting to work, but no one could really put things together. I think that was a big thing that happened with Australia and the Balls team is they just couldn't close rounds. Like that's the main thing we saw Australia EU. Australia gets somewhere and then it all falls apart.
Yeah. I would love to see some logs.
Yeah, we have logs. We're hearing we've got logs coming up, maybe. And I'm excited. It's massive. I'm expecting huge. I'm expecting huge. Okay, we've been picked up for this. Come on, let's get these logs up.
Oh, I can't even see it.
I can't read. Hold on.
Big.
The screen's far away. We'll get there. 1 second.
You, it's us.
We're getting a laptop. I believe we're getting a laptop, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay.
Silvo got. I could see Silvo. It looks like Silvo got 33 kills. Am I looking at the right person?
Cookie got 44 kills.
Okay, that's the big.
That's the big
huge.
number. That's the big number. Nah, these scouts, man, on the Aussies, they're like
the scouts are
huge.
They're fired. The Aussies are freaking good, man. They're all freaking good.
Sad that one of these teams have to get fourth.
Yeah, they're both very impressive right now to me. I would be happy for either of them to go the distance. Yeah.
Right, so we're passing the laptop across. We've got some logs on our laptop, and
I want to see how many soldiers Cookie killed. Because
the mids in favor of Australia 5-3, but overall,
God.
it was a close game all around. But
yeah, Cookie killed 14 scouts and 23 soldiers.
It's like slight fraud, moves, but you know that's his
log padding. Log padding as he.
That's like how many soldiers you kill on a good game.
Connor killed the medic 10 times.
Okay, that's illegal.
No one was even close.
That's actually illegal. How is
it that close?
That should not be allowed.
He
Lau
had 10
died
more
9
deaths.
times and Zilly died 9 times.
And it was still that close. They lost more mids. They had more med deaths.
Even if Lau lived every mid and Zilly died every mid, which didn't happen, Zilly still would have died more than Lau.
Well, I think that speaks to like the neutral game of Balls and being able to hold on. Where even with their med dying more than twice, and losing more of the mids. They still
Yeah.
kind of held in there, and that wasn't their map pick, is the kind of silver
Yeah.
lining for them.
Yeah, that's maybe concerning, right, for the Australians, right?
Yeah,
They have like so many Uber ads, so many heal advantages, and to not be able to convert. Obviously, they've won the map, but like with stats like that, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, the stats definitely look a lot better than the scoreline for the Aussies. Although, to be fair, for the stats, the Balls team was sacking into last. I want to say
holding last gets you some stats.
for like 9 or 10 minutes. So like some stats are just going to be cooked, for instance, and they are.
There's one I'm curious about. What was the map length? How long do we go?
52 minutes.
Okay, we've had longer.
How long was that?
Shortest continuous overtime map. The
There was
75-minute legends.
there was a game in the open bracket, I believe, today that was 80 minutes on process.
Guys, learn how to push.
Yeah, I was gonna
learn
say,
how to push last.
If
Guys.
you can't push last, this config kills you.
Oh, it was a metal. We're getting fact checked. It was Metalworks.
that
But
makes
yes.
sense. Metal is
No, metal's a pain, right? Like
Yeah,
sometimes.
notoriously-
the poor engineer player did nothing for like an hour. I wonder if their icon is engineer because they played it too much.
I've seen those a couple of
That
times.
happened to be at a pug before.
Oh, it's pug. Oh my
On a Badlands pug, actually. That was before continuous OT. I can't imagine with.
A 10-minute round time, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I know. I literally had 20 minutes of NG and 10 minutes of Scout.
You know, now that we have you, how's the land been for you so far?
Ideal.
Yeah,
For
I
lack
can
of
see.
a better word.
Only map you dropped was to the Balls land team, which
Yeah. They've been the hardest team for us to play. I'm not gonna lie.
they are the underdog of the world.
Yeah. They like, as like the land is progressing too, they keep changing how they're playing. So obviously we're all watching each other and kind of adapting to what we're doing because we're really when you play someone versus watching someone, it's different. But with the Balls team, since they're changing and adapting so much, like watching one game to the next game is not as helpful.
Yeah, since they don't really know what they're doing, you can't.
They know what they're doing.
Well, they don't know what plan is. They change it, and it's like they don't have a
their
consistent play style.
Yeah, especially they're also like they're definitely changing up their plan. Their plan for Froyo is definitely way different than it is for this team and for us. They definitely are playing. They're playing on the teams, which
They
is
got a lot
which
of
is good.
really smart players on that team.
Yeah. Well, even Dingo, who is probably their weakest player. I don't think that's controversial.
No, it's not. And I don't think he'd be hurt.
He's got a brain on him. Like he definitely will see stuff.
Has he been here longer than anybody else on that team? He's
Like,
been
but-
around the block. Dingo?
Like an invite, I think so.
Yeah, like your weakest link is Dingo, who's a guy who's played 3 roles or 4 roles in invite. He played medic as well. He's succeeded. He's never won an invite season, but he's been in playoff invite. He's whatever team gets
He's
him
consistent.
is instantly better.
Yeah.
And it's like for that to be your weak link,
Yeah,
you are in a good
he's
spot.
good. Yeah, for sure. Kyle, Dingo, and I are all like same age old heads. So
Yeah, just having tag on earlier, it's like the level of old head is very different.
I'm so happy.
The bar's been set rather
Yeah.
high at this point since you had tag on.
I forget how, but he's like mentioning, I'm like, geez, I feel like an old head now. And then he's like, it's crazy. We're on season 15, 16 of
I think
RGL.
it's 16.
Yeah.
Anybody know? I don't know.
It's crazy.
It doesn't matter. I don't know. I think that my first season of ESCA was 16. So
Mine was 21.
oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Yeah, I guess so. Back to the series, right? I believe we have Sunshine coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunshine
From memory
and
from the
Process.
picks. Bomo, what are your thoughts on a bold pick for Sunshine? What are your thoughts on that?
I like balls on Sunshine. The way they like approach doorways and fights, I think, will be a lot more comfortable for them, especially with how Artist is playing with the lock and load and how Dingo and Kyle move around the map. I think, especially, and I think process, I think it could go either way, but we'll get to that after Sunshine. But yeah, for Sunshine, I think the first mid is going to be like a great indicator of the later mids. Usually the first mid on a map will kind of like dictate every following mid because one team will adjust to the other team and then it just goes back and forth like that.
And Process is like the same way where it's
Yeah.
like you don't really have like a set, this is what we're going to do. A lot of times
Yeah.
it is the reaction. Do we want to go this way? Okay,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
playing
yeah.
there. And Sunshine being that big mid where you're going to see a lot of wraps, a lot of collapses, maybe some interesting mids. And there's a lot of open sight lines and a lot of flank routes for Slemnish to make a play, Jay
Yeah.
make a play, anybody, all the players, sniper, anything could happen, and it's gonna be two really good matches. And the lasts are
The last process last is another last that's really hard to break. So I wonder if both teams will sort of
snipe.
well, Silva's going to snipe on process for sure. I think Jay might also. I don't know. Jay's been off and on sniper this lane.
Silva's been on
Silva
sniper.
Silva likes it.
Yeah.
Silva's been really hard on sniper.
Yeah, he's been. I feel like he's been continuously like heating up on it too. So we'll have to see when it gets there. I don't think sniper is not great on Sunshine, so I don't think that'll come into effect.
There's
immediately,
like
though.
the one angle from like Tetris to choke that's really good. Otherwise, there's a lot of things in the way. But still, it's just open map. It allows your scouts to kind of have some open rain, and it's going to give Zilly some space. Like we were talking, and we're like, Zilly might be the second best medic
Yeah,
at
he
LAN.
might.
He's been. I haven't seen anything bad.
The series
Besides this, game.
You say that the log was.
Something's happening in this log for sure.
Well, Connor's happening apparently.
Connor is
Connor
happening.
killed Zilly more than Lau died,
Yeah.
which is one player doing that.
10
is
in the game
crazy.
is outrageous. That's you don't see that every
Yeah,
day.
I think that in combination with maybe the Slemnish performance could be an explanation. Slem told me before this game he didn't feel like super comfortable with how he's approaching the game, so maybe hopefully he'll change it up and
Yeah, ball some talks. They got some time.
They got a lot of scout players on that team too, so they've got a lot of ideas to ping pong if they need to. I mentioned process last because I didn't even think about Sunshine last, but Sunshine last is like it might be the worst. Honestly, underrated, impossible last to push.
More than Snake Water?
I think it might be worse than Snake. Like if
I
played
think
well.
at least Sunshine, if you get in, it's pretty good. Like Snake Water, at least when they play close against the wall, it's doable. But I think infamously Snake Water, but people have gotten so good at holding Sunshine, like the soldiers on that right door from the defense. And then
Yeah.
the left side's just kind of useless because there's just stickies everywhere.
Yeah, or the gun.
No, and the problem is you send so many resources to get the gun, you lose someone, it doesn't matter. You gotta
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah, it's so hard to. The lock and load actually makes killing the gun significantly easier, but also there's guns that aren't easier for killing the lock and load that are still very good on Sunshine.
I would love to see like the spy sack where they sap the gun on this map, because if you can sap the gun, the medic's in a bad spot, and if you can just get in, that's a good sign.
Yeah,
we're getting called that the casters might be ready. But before we do that, I want to go final call. How do we think Sunshine's going to go? What are you thinking, Bomo?
I want to say 3-2 for balls.
Balls.
We're gonna say balls. 2-1. I'm saying slow
balls.
game.
I agree. I think balls take this. I'll go 3-1. I'm sort of in between.
We got 3 balls in one pot over here.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I don't know. I think they've looked good in it so far, and it is their pick after all. But we'll find out soon, because we're going to pass it over back to our casters. Take us away at Wild Rumpus and Tcmano.
Analysis on this game so far. We just saw the first map on Snakewater, which Witness Gaming Australia just barely eked out a win, 3-2. It was a very, very close game. We head here onto Sunshine, and which was the map pick for the Balls LAN team. So hopefully for them, their best shot at getting a map, and if they do, we're going to be sent over to a third map, which, like they said, is going to be Process. But still, here on Sunshine, Wild Rumpus, what are your initial thoughts based on what we've seen so far from these teams?
Well, I think I agree with what the analysts were saying, especially about it seems like Connor and Down are just killing Zilly, and it is losing balls the game. The trouble with Sunshine is that on Snakewater mid, soldier bombs are much more one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You know where a soldier is bombing from. They're bombing from their side. In some cute cases, they're bombing from their kitchen, which is a little bit different, I guess. Sunshine, really not the case, especially as a mid develops. You have to worry about multiple opposing sides of the point that can be bombed from. Basically, these soldiers are going to have a lot more free reign to get much more creative, which how they're approaching mids, as we are actually live now, rolling out map 2.
Map 2 of this best of 3. If Australia wins this, they will go on. They will, at minimum, be third and break the dreaded 4th place Australian curse here at International Lands. Going to be watching Endrith on this relic. Just fire some stickies across the way down. Going for an immediate bomb, trying to land it, doing a lot of damage. Misses the air shot on the artist. Doesn't matter. Silvo picks him up. Endrith finding another. They're just cleaning house. He goes for the spoon. He doesn't get it. Zilly defends himself with the head. Doesn't matter. He goes down right afterwards. But still, it's good to see a medic stepping up for himself and, you know, laying down the law when he needs to. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough law to be laid, as it's going to be Witness Gaming Australia getting the first mid win.
Yeah, and I think it was Bomo saying that this first mid is kind of going to paint how the map was going to go. And it wasn't perfect. It's not mid to last territory for Witness, as actually this full dungeon shove to get through. They've caught people out because of it. What a nice maneuver, finding down and Silvo. So mid might actually belong to Ball's team after all. But nonetheless, Witness had a confident mid. Loud did go down, but they had 4 players alive at the end of it, so still, we are in for a match.
We are indeed in for a match. Here comes the Balls land team making their way in through Valley on. They have to watch out for those stickies. Artist is so close to them. Please, someone knock them away. The soldier sees them. Please get them out of there. Finally, he just deaths. They don't do anything about it. They just let time be the deciding factor. And when Enrif wanted to death them. So it is going to be even Ubers. Witness Gaming Australia having a little bit earlier, and now it is going to be on Ball's land team. All eyes on High Five Dingo, maybe Slimnish, to try and make something happen.
Yup, and we're seeing some cafe pressure. High Five posted up towards Choke, might be the soldier bombing first. Actually going towards Valley to help out Slemnish. Flank is a 2v2 at the moment. Yeah, no one committing to anything crazy quite yet. High Five getting a pack, gonna be backing up, and looks like Ball's team are gonna reroute actually. They didn't really like what they were getting cafe, so now they're gonna try something else, administer those buffs again, and this time it will be some choke pressure.
Yep, Dingo going to be jumping around, maybe causing a little bit of distraction as we have the wraparound come through as well. Getting a lot of damage as High Five over in Valley. He's going to be able to get 2. Does go down, but that's going to be a really great opening for the Balls land team. Immediately, you see them flood through. Their demo is so weak. Enrif's just going to hobble back over onto last. Going to catch the arrow. They don't lose anyone else, but they're still going to be down 2 soldiers, and immediately they're flooding in onto the point. Silvo going to be taking down Dingo. High up into the sky is not going to make out of that one alive, and they could push out, but I think Ball's land team are kind of going off of the same thing that was happening in Snakewater. Are they going to push out? But it seems like this time they're being a little bit more aggressive about it, Rumpus.
Yeah, Silvo dying to a trap might call things off. Oh, and down dies on the way out. Oh my goodness, is Connor caught as well? That's 3 kills. This is now very, very scary for Witness Gaming. Now, on the bright side, Zilly is committing here, meaning that it's not just a force, at the very least it's an exchange. You don't have to deal with disad in the post, but there's no heavy. Cookie switched off, and it's providing some value. He finds a kill. So much cap time. Can someone stop in time? It's going to be Silvo on the point, trying so hard. But unfortunately, the 3 kills in the amount of space that Ball's team were able to get off of that failed second push was just enough.
Yeah, and one thing to consider is that even though, sure, we saw the analyst talk about it a little bit, Zilly didn't have the best of game, and neither did Slemnish, and Zilly was dying a lot. But the fact that they weren't having great games and it was still so close means that as soon as they fix that, they're in a very good position to walk away with this series. And we already see them getting that first round here on the next one. High Five going in for an immediate bomb, trying to get in onto Lau, doing so much damage. Lau is going to go for the deplete damage, probably because of the ball. That melee weapon for the scout working out wonders. Can they get in onto Zilly? Just dodging. No, it's going to get taken down. Connor with the rockets, able to clean them up. The last one is going to be Silvo. I don't think they're in a position to do anything, but at bare minimum for Witness Gaming Australia, they have been able to equalize the medic situation. Could have had ad if someone was with Lau, but that's not going to happen, so it's going to be even. It could be better, could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just Ball's team showing that we can double bomb and kill the med as well. Unfortunately, Zilly did end up dying. I don't know how Connor is finding that timing, because based on what we were seeing on like second and earlier, it does seem like Ball's team are making a conscious effort to focus those soldier kills. As I say that, this amount of pressure is incredible. High Five actually finding a spoon during this, but Slemish and High Five both dying. Gets traded out for Connor and Downseek. Dingo will be the next to fall. Now it's even numbers. Make it just Artist and Zilly. These are not the two classes you want.
Artist?
Artist.
Oh
my
he
God.
gets it! He gets the pipe onto Lau. That was insane. His final punt, getting the meta kill, and Zilly is all the way out of there. He went for it. He went for the play, and he's been able to make it work. And now it is going to be the Balls LAN team staying on mid. They're going to have a very big Uber advantage to work with, but you can't count Witness Gaming Australia out of it yet. They still got a little bit of time to set up some defenses here. A few cheeky, sticky jabs as we see Enriff going in. Seems like he might have picked the right doorway, as it seems like they're mobilizing through Valley.
Yep, they are, and look at that.
Gets one.
Enriff finding a pick. That's a very important kill to find on the Pocket Scout. So much damage as well. Some of these soldiers are in danger of going down. Slemish actually dying. No scouts at all. That means bombs are going to be very good, and Zilly's going to be very slow to kite away. And because of that, he's going to need to be preemptively passive, right? You don't have the speed to back out reactively. Looks like they might want to take an Uber or something, because they are getting aggressive. Silvo getting in on Artist. Looks like it will be Witness backing up, licking their wounds. Only Connor is the one going down, but they bought time for Lau to get Uber, and I think you are perfectly happy with that if you are Witness.
Yep, you are. Now High Five going to be going in, making a lot of space, trying to get in onto a demo. Enriff just going to surf that over to safety. They're getting a lot of space, though, over towards the entrance to Cafe. Enriff goes down. Nice pipe from Artist. They're getting control of second, and just like that, they don't even need to use Uber. There's still no demo up on the side of Witness Gaming Australia, so it could be a call to try and get some space here. Maybe try and go for the sack. Oh, down. Nice rockets on the Slemish. High Five as well. So that's going to be the two-man. Are they going to go for anything aggressive? They got a lot of weak players, so I wouldn't be too surprised to just see them stay on last, get those defenses up, and look Cookie up on the engineer. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, after the previous attempt of pushing out a last off of 2 kills, which they got kind of goaded into, right? Zilly and Jay were pretty passive on Plat, honestly. It looked enticing for a fight, and they got punished really hard for it. Lost 3 kills, lost the round. They are not making that same mistake again. And as the analysts were saying, Sunshine Last can be a deceptively difficult point to pressure. I don't think it's going to be as hard as Snake Water, but oh, wow.
This art is so weak.
4 HP.
Oh, he goes down.
Wow. Was completely alone there as well. I guess other players were on other doors. But demo kill's definitely nice to have. It is still only 1 kill at the end of the day. You're still going to have the same amount of spam on the same doors. It's just going to be slightly weaker soldier spam. And Uber actually getting sprung here. They were trying to catch an exchange, but they find nothing. They just gave up Uber for free. The gun does go down. Down dies as well. So there is a pick for Balls team. This is a ripe opportunity for some chaos to really, really disrupt Witness AU. They have to be very careful about proceeding with this full advantage.
Yeah, you can see Silva overpries the choke, and here comes the Uber and Cookie. Might be able to get an Uber. They're chasing deep into Valley to take down Zilly. Are there anyone going for a back up? It doesn't look like it. They've been able to get some really great picks onto Jay as well, and that's going to be the combo essentially nullified. Sure, Artist is still up, but he is not going to try and take that fight by his lonesome. He's just going to go back with the rest of his players and get up onto mid. They kind of try and set up some defenses here. They still don't have heals, so it's really risky to try and fight here. A big fadeaway bomb. They beat over in the sky. Connor getting the better of Dingo there. That is so unfortunate for Dingo. He's just going to be sent to the respawn room, and that is going to be 2 points taken for Witness Gaming Australia.
2 points taken and still 40 ad. Loud now only at 70%, meaning if they are quick into second and can dry push, they might be able to even transition into last, or they could just pop through Cafe. The pop through Valley worked for sure. Looks like they will be going for the dry push route. Now, are they going to drop dungeon right now? They are. They are going dungeon. They're going to be taking this Uber into last. No gun on last. Jay now spawning. Enrith bombs in without. Uber goes down. Finds Zilly nonetheless. Down goes Artist. 2 kills for the demo. Connor dies. So does Down. At this point, Lau might just want to leave. Ooh, it's just Lau and Silvo versus the Chase. These players are weak. Looks like they might be able to get out here, preserve that Uber advantage, given the fact that Zilly died. But it really is only 30% here. I think that was a big blunder having Enrith bomb in without the Uber actually being popped on him.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but luckily for them, they still do have Uber advantage. They didn't beef it so hard that they weren't not in position to go for it again. They are, so they're just going to be able to build things up and try and fix the flaws that they executed last time. Going to be making their way into locker. We receive a sentry gun coming up on the side of Balls. Land Team J is up on it, so they're going to have to work to take that down as they're bombing. Enrith in, goes for the sentry gun, should be able to take it down. Now going to be looking over J, and to force everyone. So much damage coming up on all these players, forcing the heavy back. They're getting a lot of cap time. Can they collapse onto it? So much damage coming out from the players, but I think it's going to be enough. Witness Gaming Australia make it a tie game 1-1.
Just an absolutely nuclear Uber. Enrith turning around just enough to get the projectiles on the gun needed to destroy it, and then completely ignoring it, letting the stickies cook. They'll death, they'll get the gun. I need to cross right now, and I need to nuke the other team, which is exactly what happened.
Really great heads-up play from Enrith, as we do have a pause. It is a tech pause, so we can't guarantee when this is going to go back. Normally for tech pauses, it's only 60 seconds a minute, but tech pauses, you know, we're kind of at liberty of the technology around us. But so far, it's been such a close game. I mean, first map, 2-3, right now 1-1. We were right in thinking these teams would be closely matched in skill, because they are. It is so tight, so competitive between the two of them.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And I'm going to let my bias slip through and be a little happy at the fact that the Aussies might break. I'm not even going to say it actually, but I will give the context that Australian teams historically, and I mean historically, have been 4th place. Not lower, not higher, and it's been deemed a curse, right? And this is a very, very strong Australian roster, as you can obviously tell from what's happening. So this is the 4th place match, right? They were very happy to beat Froyo. That is absolutely a highlight of their careers. But this is also a match with a lot of personal weight for this region.
It is a lot of a personal weight. I can imagine all of the Australians watching along, whether they're watching the VOD. I don't know what time it is there. If they're watching the VOD or if they're staying up late or early in the morning, you know, to watch along in the Twitch chat, are probably sending a lot of power to the players up on the stage right now as we go live. The tech has been resolved, luckily, and now we're going to go onto this mid. Dingo up on the high ground, high five, just roaming around as well into the enemy team's choke. We can see Connor just jumping in on him, down, getting the pick on the high five. Connor up into the sky, trying to land onto Zilly. Zilly surfs over into Cafe. He's so weak, down comes in, gets on top of him. Really great stuff from the two soldiers on Witness Gaming Australia there. Now, can Dingo do anything of his own? Getting a lot of damage actually, but not enough on one particular target to get the kill. And Artis, the last one alive, down with a 4K. And at the moment, it just seems like the Balls team are down with the sickness. Down is just executing amazingly.
It is actually unbelievable. I knew that Witness AU soldiers were good. I knew that they were stellar even, and a standout among all the competition here. But what I'm seeing these two soldiers pull off is something that I think players should be studying, honestly, because they are consistently getting into positions. The other team knows they're in these positions. Oh, and actually an immediate exchange coming out. So much cap time as well, all things considered. Oh my God, Enrith with the sticky pipe on Artist. It is even numbers overall. Zilly not having Uber quite yet. Oh right, it's not an exchange, it's Ash, duh. 3 versus 3, we gotta see. One team has the heals here, one has more combat. So much cap time, they just get it.
Wow, Witness Gaming Australia making it a 2-1 game. For some reason, I thought they already had 2-1, but no, yeah, it is a 2-1 game now. 17 minutes left on the clock. Obviously, we've got continuous overtime, but you know, it's pretty back and forth at the moment. I forget what we predicted, but it's looking like it's going to be up there. Witness Gaming Australia, they've got a lot of great momentum. They just got to make sure they keep on hold of it. But if you're Balls land team, it all starts with these mids.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last mid was just absolutely terrible for them. This time around, you see the double bomb immediately get Artist, immediately get Jay. Zilly is so weak. Both soldiers are still alive. Down goes Zilly. It's going to be a full wipe. High five able to get Lau. That's the one kill. But yet again, highlighting Connor and Down, able to get every single player in the combo without dying.
That's absolutely insane. I mean, it's kind of like you said, you know, for a soldier, if you get the soldier trade, that's all right, you know, it's neutral. If you get a pick onto someone else, like a demo or a medic, and you die immediately, bravo, you've done your job for your team, but they're doing so much more than that. Like you said, they're getting all of the combo, they're living, they're being a nuisance, and when you've got a great demo, it's amazing to play the game. When you've got great scouts, it can make the game so much easier, but when you've got great soldiers that are in sync and are executing on the level that Down and Connor are, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, and I know I am really buttering up these soldiers for good reason, mind you. And I'm giving Enrith a lot of props as well. I'm honestly glancing over the scouts and not really giving them their due. Silvo, I know, is a particular favorite among the chat. From my overhead perspective here, it's hard to see scouts pop off. I don't see the damage numbers or anything like that, but I know they are just collecting kills and cleaning up on what the other players on this team are doing, turning it into an actual machine. Slemnish rings off a couple shots here. Now gets a nice little peek into two. A demo and a scout definitely bodes well for Balls, as Connor gonna get spammed out. Exchange gets popped. Absolutely no holds barred. They're trying to get the sniper. They're unable to do so. Down tries to sack in during that. And look at that, what a heads-up exchange. The pressure was mounting, things were looking so bad, but they were decisive with it. They got exactly what they needed to, and now they've reset back to being in control.
Yeah, they have. They are still going to be down a player, and they seem like they want to go for this undershove that they did last time. They're going to find one on Slim, immediately traded out for Connor. Enrith going to be going. It's just trades all the way across. They might be wiping. It's only going to be Jay Humphrey. He's got to rush all the way back to the point. He's not going to be there in time. He's going for anyone he can possibly get, but it's not going to be enough. And Witness Gaming Australia make it a 3-1 game, so close to being third place, guaranteed to beating the Curse Rumpus.
That was unbelievable. I don't know what the Balls' plan was, because they just shoved Dungeon without Uber. Uber's out of the way, even numbers. Teams don't usually push out of their last without Uber and even numbers, and we kind of saw why. I mean, the team with better positioning got a lot of kills. Those kills snowballed into more kills, and yeah, I don't know.
Dingo going for a bomb, trying to land on Lau, getting some good damage along with High Five, is going to be able to get the kill. Great opening start to the Balls team's mid. Now we're going to see the soldiers trying to get in onto Zilly, but they have backed up expertly. This is a reverse of what's been happening. Zilly over into Valley. Silvo rushing in, trying to see if they can do anything. Zilly super weak, tries to go for the back, is going to be able to get it. The Rose Soldier, oh my god, just barely. Zilly is going to be able to stay alive, and that is the mid that the Balls team needed. They're able to get onto Lau immediately with a beautiful bomb by Dingo, and they keep Zilly alive.
Yes, they are in a great position to turn this back into a one-round game. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised that Witness were that close to being able to kill Zilly from that position, because obviously a Balls team knows they need to bunker up. They just need to protect Zilly against the feed, against these players without heals, and yet they still got so much value. Speaking of value, though, we see a bit of a milk through Dungeon, able to take some space. Gun goes down now. Some cap time comes out. The double bomb across finds Lau, but 3 players make it 4. Dies for the play. Zilly is far too committed to get out alive, so he will be trying to find a kill. Landing on melee there would have at least found a nice little trade on Silvo. Maybe type to him in chat afterwards, but a last hold from Witness. That's all I'll say. Lau died. You get to push out on second. Zilly actually being a late spawn means that if you're feeling particularly spicy, maybe you feel like you've been building better, which Lau has, then you might want to do a build check or something like that. Not wise, but aggressive, and it's something Witness could do.
It is something they could do, and you know, at this point, these are kind of decisions that you got to make it a team, because obviously Witness Gaming, they're feeling themselves, and they might be like, hey, we're winning. We're up a map. We're up 2 rounds. We're the stuff. You know, we could do it. We could go for this, and we could win even harder. But the thing is, you don't want to get too cocky. And it's a very fine line between letting yourself be carried by the momentum and letting yourself drown in the momentum. And Witness Gaming Australia, they can't let themselves drown in the momentum. They've got to keep their eyes on the prize. They've still got to be playing the game that they've been playing so far that's been giving them this lead in this series. And we can see Down getting some great damage out onto the soldiers. Dingo and High Five just barely making it out without falling. Good stuff for them now. They can just reset. They don't have to wait for the respawn timers. They can go in and try and start some aggression. High Five managing to get in behind. Might be able to draw some eyes for someone else to go and do something, but no, just going to fall over and lower, and that is going to be a trip to the respawn room.
Yeah, and that honestly looked a little worse than what we've seen Balls do into second tier. Second point, defending it has been a bit of a problem point for Witness Gaming AU this match. I mean, they've lost their really only round. Well, that was the push out, but they've been pushed back to last pretty regularly because of, yeah, just doors getting flooded. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see this Valley pressure. It looks like this is something new from Balls.
It is something new. Artist going to be over here launching some stickies across the way. All eyes on maybe Choke or the soldiers. Dingo and High Five both going to be going in from 2 different angles, trying to get in onto Lau, trying to serve. Can he dodge? No, he's going to have to use just out of fear, and that is going to be a very well executed 2-man from the Balls land team. Oh my God.
Balls want to take this Uber. Oh, but they picked the door wrong. They were hoping to meet the combo, trying to pressure forward with those kills and just immediately get the kill. Unfortunately, they ran into the flank and got spotted and had to cool off. So now they will just be taking a more standard push there. But that's something you really, really have to be careful with if you're a team that gets forced but gets kills with it. Actually, Uber gets popped, finds Connor, but will seem to be just Connor. In fact, Dingo getting cleaned up here. So things will maybe reset, but as I say that, Lau is at 70%. We do see the heavy from Cookie, just trying to hold for the time being, because once Lau gets this Uber, he can play a little bit more aggressively, walk at the team a little bit more. Jay is actually quite deep in and able to get out pretty cleanly. So now we have the proper reset. Cookie going back to Scout. Let's see if they go for another pop through. They actually get forced. High Five dies though, so that's a kill with the Uber. All players are in front, so no back half threats. It's looking like a flip-flop here on 2.
Oh, they're immediately coming right back in. Like you said, it's going to be a flip-flop, so they're trying to fight for it. The Witness Gaming Australians are. They're trying to get onto Silly. He's not going to be able to stay alive. Enrif takes him down with the sticky, but they're still trying to stay in here, maybe a little bit too long, as it seems like the Balls land team have been able to get in. Lau is up, so they are going to have the heals advantage. Cookie rushing in, but the attempt goes in onto Lau. No, barely staying alive. How is he alive? He's still alive. Lau managing to live somehow, some way. He's going to be up, and that is going to be a very, very important win for Witness Gaming Australia.
I gotta say, on other maps, Lau has been sometimes a liability. His drop numbers, specifically in the logs, tend to be higher than the other meds. This series, he is showing that was limit testing. He now knows exactly what the opponents are capable of, and he is not letting them get anything. As Uber gets popped through Valley, finds 3 kills, including Zilly. Connor always finding the opposing medic. At this point, the remaining 3 players, they don't know what to do. They don't have time to stop 2. I guess we have to come back to last, do something. High Five trying to find a kill on the Cookie. It is not going to happen. Slemish going down. Dingo unable to stop point in time, and the Aussies have so much momentum on their side. They are building the lead with 7 minutes left. I don't know if things are even going to go into overtime the way this is going.
We could not see overtime, but the thing is, at the start of this round, the Australians, they're 1 map win away from breaking the curse. They're 1 round win away from breaking the curse. They've got so much pressure, and they're not letting it phase them as far as we can see so far as we go in on to what could be the last mid of not only this map, but this series. And the winner of this going on to face Witness Gaming Europe for a chance to be in the grand finals. We're going to have to see how it plays out on this mid. Dingo jumping around, being a little bit of a nuisance, not committing just quite yet. High Five super weak, going to have to back up. Slemnich going to be taking down Jay, going to be able to get the follow-up onto down, so a trade either which way on top of the point. The soldier bombing across. Dingo not going to be able to make anything work with it. Silvo trying to rush across. He finds another onto high five. Silvo getting 2 on the soldiers. And the Balls team, they're going to have to back up. The thing is, they're on the wrong side of the map. They're going to have to commit. Artist is so weak. He's not going to be able to stay alive. It's all going to be on Jay and Philly to try to sort his medic out.
Sunshine. Classic Sunshine fashion, you rotate, you're on the wrong side, and it's a race to last. Could this be the last round? Down gets the force in choke, so it is now advantage. Jay is going to try to get the force, try and get something. Lau still hasn't used. Players are dying though on the red team.
2.
They are in last. Silvo wants, or Cookie wants to end this right here and now. Finds Zilly. Uber gets popped. Edward able to find
the back up though, the back up, they get the back up!
Oh my god. Okay, so last is off the table now, but if Lau can live, it's still advantage. Zilly did die. That being said, still a lot of kills in favor. Oh my god, Enrith just hitting the one bite needed to survive. Does eventually go down nonetheless. And this is a really, really necessary stabilizing moment for Balls. They almost just lost the entire match. You gotta take a breather after that.
You have to take a breather. That was so close. And even with all of that, they are still not out of the woodworks, not just in terms of the rounds that they need to claw back, but they're at uber disadvantage. And we've seen Witness Gaming Australia, you know, when they're on the defensive, they're not too aggressive, but when they're on the offensive, they are ready to take it in at a moment's notice. They got 100%. They're going in through Cafe. They're just going to be immediately using. We see Dingo trying to get in behind, has been able to do so somewhat successfully. Jakes to chase him back, but
Connor already in position.
Oh my god, he's just ready for it, waiting at a moment's notice to jump in.
Balls are going to be pushing out, it looks like. They're posturing like it. Connor is a free jump into last, getting some cap time, getting a rocket off, but really doesn't materialize in too much, just kind of slows down the push out, which is some value. Nevertheless, it will be a pop through bats, immediately finds a kill onto Silvo. That is enough to convert the point quite easily. Lau living means we are looking at a flip-flop. I gotta say though, Witness have been pretty good about not being too predictable. They've been peppering in those pop throughs with the dry pushes, meaning that Balls, they can't get complacent. They don't know whether they should play passively and let the doors be a little easier to push through, or maybe be a little harder on the doors and be more vulnerable to Ubers. Uber does get popped here. Connor actually going to be the one going down. Definitely not what Witness wanted to see, and we'll see what this counter aggression is like from Balls.
Oh, high five going to be taken down as Witness Gaming try to get out of lobby and get onto the point before they capture it up. So much cap time on the point. They're taking so much spam damage. Witness Gaming Australia are with a pick out onto down. That should be enough for them to do, but there is a back capper. They do know about it. It's going to be going back. Silvo doing a lot of damage. Is going to draw a couple back, both Dingo and Jay, but I don't think that's going to be enough to dissuade Witness Gaming from pushing out here.
Silva was looking for a trade there. We actually have a high bomb, lands on Zilly, so weak.
Oh my god.
Is able to milk Connor again. So close, but just unable to do it there. Silva will not be getting denied, and in fact is on Sniper out of forwards. Gonna be chilling out by Choke, as it looks like a pop through. Artist bombing in, and no, Lau's caught. Has Uber though, is able to pop, save players. Jay goes down. That is a very favorable pick for Witness Gaming. Dingo is on the flank, bombing in now. It's a double bomb. High five goes down though. Lau is the pick, however. That is an important kill to get with those bombs. Down gets cleaned up by Dingo, but Enrith finds the pipe and is able to trade out that pick. It is just Artist and Zilly retreating all the way back to last. Lau died, meaning it is going to be Uber ad for Balls. However, notably, the class that Silva was on is still here. This is very difficult to push into.
It is very, very difficult, and now it makes everyone on Balls kind of wonder, all right, should we wait for an Uber? But if they wait for the Uber, that gives more and more time for everyone on Witness Gaming Australia to set up and try and start to scheme things, you know, go for a back cap, try and go for some type of play. And it seems like they are going to least bare minimum wait for their Uber. They don't have any off classes yet, so we're unsure if they're just going to sit on last. They're in lobby, so it seems like they're probably going to try and go for it. They want to be aggressive here. They're going to be going in through bats, going to be immediately using not trying to dissuade any risk of a sniper whatsoever.
Yeah, Lau's at 80 though, so we could see a fast repop here, maybe even stopping 2 depending on how things go. Looks like they will be stacking the cap, so at the very least it's going to go. Now Silvo being on sniper here means we might see some flank aggression, and as I say that, Dingo going to be bombing down in the flank with high five. Zilly is caught, however. That is the important kill. It's just a matter of stopping the bleeding on the flank. They're jumping around. Connor and Cookie both died. They are bunkered up, retreating through Cafe. This is honestly looking okay for Witness. Acceptable. You got the medic, you lost 3. Honestly, if I'm Silvo here, I'm going to forwards and trying to swap off. And that appears to be exactly what's happening. Unfortunately, however, both soldiers get denied, which means that Witness are going to be even slower to push back into mid, but it is 70 ad, so they still have a quite strong advantage to potentially retake mid with and go back into second, potentially.
High five on top of Cafe, just waiting to try and get the drop onto the medic. Not going to be able to get it like that because they immediately use in some great damage in. High five going to be going in behind. They should know, at least at the moment, might be able to set things up for pincer play now. It's going to be in a 1v1 with a scout, so they know about his presence in the backline. Silvo should be able to get, oh no, high five actually with the rocket. I thought he was going to lose that. My bad, high five. I was not familiar with your game. Is going to be able to stay alive in the backlines for just a little bit longer. That is going to split some attention up. It might be able to get Cookie, no. It's going to be taken down by Cookie. High five.
Can these projectiles without heals hold off the doors at the time being? It looks like the answer is yes, because at this point Lau has shown up. However, Zilly now has the advantage and just pops it. Honestly, these teams have been pretty consistently just popping these Ubers through. And to mixed results. I mean, the Uber that Witness just took into mid, quite nice. They got 2 kills with it. This time, however, not so much for balls, as we see the immediate repressure. It's going to be a bomb in from Dingo, trying to stop something from happening, but down finds Zilly during the chaos. And yeah, you are just sitting pretty if you're Witness Gaming AU. Connor finding a trade as well is exactly what he needs here. Just simplify pieces off the board. Get into this end game with your very strong advantage.
Oh, we see Jay trying to go for a back half as it seems like they're trying to fight over on Witness Gaming. They might be enough to block it. No, it's not going to be enough. That was the last-ditch attempt, effort from them to try and get themselves into a winning position. Luckily for them, they were able to, at bare minimum, force out the Uber from Lau, so it's not going to be massive Uber advantage from Witness Gaming Australia, but they're on the back foot right now, Balls team, and one mistake here, and they have lost the series.
So fortunately for them, their spawners are up in time by the time Witness could take their push. Because if Witness were able to peek for even 2-3 seconds while having 2 picks, that immediately makes the hold so much less comfortable. Keeping a gun up becomes much more difficult, even though Enrith was dead, and even though they were, of course, down that demo. But yeah, I don't know if we have seen, oh man, they're posted up for a build check here. They do just use through dungeon. It is, in fact, 15 ad. Zilly at 90% now. Gun is staying up. The gun pyro quite strong. Gun finally goes down, but there's a foothold now for Witness. Zilly 99 has Uber now. It is in all likelihood going to be a hold just with that Uber. They're trying to bait out the cap. Both scouts go down. Cap time not going to be much of a factor here. And in fact, Zilly doesn't even have to use Uber, which means a very, very straightforward push out in all likelihood for balls.
Yep, now they're going to have to just make sure that they clear all of these doorways. There's going to be a soldier in. They get forced. They're going to have to go back to try and chase him. Connor, they do find one. If they can find down, that's going to be both soldiers taken out of the equation. Going to be all right. I mean, you get forced for 2 soldiers and control of second. It could be a little bit worse, but the thing is, Lau, immediately out of there, is going to have that 100% Uber.
I mean, yet again, 2 scout kills and full ad and having Uber. And somehow, Witness's soldiers are able to still turn it into that classic, both soldiers die for the force. I don't know how they're able to do this, but it is so consistently getting them value. Because now Lau, despite eating a lot of spam, Jesus, getting that pack, gonna have Uber. And it is still 30 ad. Lau still eating spam, I think catching a pipe. High five does go down. That's an important kill into last. We'll see if Witness are keeping up the pace. Dungeon tells me they might still want to take this Uber. Zilly, 95%, will in all likelihood be getting this Uber. So with the Uber from the defenders, no, Dingo dies. Picks are going in either way. Loud dying means it is almost certainly going to be a hold. It's just a matter of Zilly can stay alive. 1 HP, and Cookie finds the kill. That is the one important salvage kill to get there. Your own medic's already dead. The push has already failed. At the very least, I'm here. I have shots loaded. I can make it not be Uber Dizad.
And the thing is, what's really scary for Balls Land team right here is that because Lau came up earlier, they might try and refight this before Zilly is up and connected with the team. It seems like that's exactly what they're going to do. They weren't able to stop them. They do. Slemness just committed a little bit too much to gap the point. I mean, maybe it's going to be worth it because it is going to slow things down just a little, but things are always going to be slow because you know they were probably going to wait for their Uber. It's pretty big Uber ad, though.
Witness are kind of tasked with a choice here, whether they want to pressure off of the kill and maybe risk, I don't know, a sniper or something going wrong, or if they want to get the Uber and make sure that they're playing to that, round score. And they opt for the latter option. They will be popping through top left. The gun was, I think, being upgraded or something, does not juggle the demo. It's a full cross from Enrith. They find a kill onto Dingo. Art is so weak. Jay on heavy, trying to get spammed down. So much cap time, and the heavy can't even make it to point in time. And the Australians have broken the 4th place curse.
Wow, history has been made today in so many ways. First Froyotech getting knocked out, but now Australia proving that they can be on the podium at bare minimum. They have gotten a higher place than 4th. And they, at some points, it was looking risky that they'd break the 4th place curse, but in the wrong way, getting 5th place, which is a breaking the 4th place curse, but not in the way you want. But no, Australia, at least for right now, have got to be feeling so proud. Of course, players on stage for doing a phenomenal work once against Froyotech and also against the Balls Land team, but also, just in general, for them, 7 years since they were last here or in Europe in any meaningful form, and they have now been able to do what has been so coveted amongst that region for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just a historic land in so many ways, and we aren't even into losers finals yet. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Australia as a region was always considered sort of the little brother and the main rivalry when there was one. Maybe there is one sparked from this event, but it was usually between North America and EU. And the Australians were kind of, in their own realm, doing their own thing. Now, granted, the Europeans are in losers finals, and they're going to have to fight against the Australians, so they still could be sort of the little brother region. But it's a real Cinderella story because this team, I don't think that anyone was expecting this kind of performance against these kinds of teams. I mean, much less the Froyo win, 3rd place guaranteed, and honestly, the way that they played against Balls, having just had an adrenaline-pumped, nail-biter game against Froyotech and still performing against a team of this caliber, I am starting to wonder if they can carry momentum into EU, and this is something I would not have even thought of an hour ago.
No, neither would I. I mean, compared to where we thought these teams were going to be before LAN, even before scrims, and then after we saw scrims, it's so different from how it's playing out. It's been so close. And of course, we're going to have some analysts to break all of this down because this was the last match of today. Don't worry, we are going to be back tomorrow for the lower bracket finals, which is going to be Witness Gaming Australia versus Witness Gaming EU, which is such a wonderful way for one of those teams to bow out. Obviously, one of them is going to fall, but the winner is going to face Leica G6 in the grand finals. Of course, shout outs to the Balls team. They played an amazing tournament. It has to be said, but of course, I think our analysts are going to talk a lot more about that, so we're going to send it over to them.
The curse is broken. Finally, so many years, so many lands. The Aussies have got their spot in the top 3. They've done it. Here we are. We're here with, once again, we've got Sandblast, we've got Marmaloo. What are your thoughts on that game, guys?
I mean, the first game was a little close. Balls had a chance to take it away in the first map, but I mean, once I feel like that kind of ran away from him. I mean, Sunshine was going to be a slow burn. I felt like, I mean, it's been a long day of gaming, but I mean, the Aussies, really just won it. I'm happy they broke their fourth place curse, but again, an amazing show from Ball's team regardless.
Yeah, and even getting fourth place, they did not have a free journey. It wasn't just like, oh, you get fourth. They beat Froyo. They beat Balls, who Balls was the only team who has still taken a map off of G6.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, just a pretty dominant showing there. And honestly, I was saying earlier, I don't think either team's going to really stand up to WGEU, but this kind of changed things. This looked a lot more dominant. A lot of their players, like Enrith, really stood out. The scouts who have been always standing out on Australia have been. And even the soldiers as well, having their own kind of times.
Well, we'll see if the numbers reflect that, because it certainly looks that way from watching the game. As we've got some logs on screen, and on our couch this time we are pre-armed with a laptop with numbers on
My
it.
foot, by the way.
It's balanced.
You can share the logs then. Give us what's going on.
So I mean, again, it's like I said before, Silvo and Cookie are the driving force of that team. Silvo, 30-12. Cookie, 26-12. Jay holding up pretty well. Slemnish as well, 20-19. The damage department, not the greatest that I would like to see, but again, kind of a slow burn match. But they're the only two scout duo to just sneak over that 200 DPM mark. But Enrith topping the server, 22-7. An absolute amazing performance. Almost top fragging the server from Demo for the most part. He's only 8 kills shy, as well as also bottom deathing the server, dying 4 times less than his own medic.
Jeez, yeah. And I think a big thing that we saw, because I think the big statement that's been kind of being had is Lao has been struggling. The rest of the team has kind of had their moments, and Lao just hasn't. And that Snakewater map was a moment. It was 10 less deaths. There were no big mistakes. This map, I don't think there was anything super big, and I think he's kind of getting used to it in his own shoes. Medic on land is a little stressful.
In his own right as well, he had some hype moments, right? There was some times I'm thinking, how the heck has Lau got out alive in some of these situations? There's players flying everywhere, and suddenly he just manages to scurry out on like 20 HP. There was some good moments.
And think about it. You're on land. All the projectile classes get better. It's very difficult, and I think if Lau can continue this performance, and the rest of Australia kind of shows that, I don't think it's going to be any easy slouch matches here, because that showing, I think, really helps show more of their map pool. We've seen a lot of kind of the same things over and over again. The main concern is they appear like they are not comfortable on either of the costs, which means that they cannot use a ban on any other map.
Yeah, they floated Bagel in this series, but Product was an early ban, and I don't think I've seen them win Koth so far, unless we haven't seen it on stream. But
It's been spare. It's been very rare we see a lot of Koth being played. I think it's just such a hectic map and just a very volatile game mode that players just don't want to see a opportunity to just kind of fold to a team that on paper they shouldn't. I mean, a lot of people seen Ball's team go up against G6, lose 3-4, go up against Froyo, lose 3-4. So it's like, man, like, I'm barely squeaking by versus Froyo and G6, even though I'm like losing to G6, just squeaking out against Froyo. That's a map where Jay and Slemnish and even High Five can kind of just have free reign of whatever they want to do a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think no matter who plays in the grand finals, I think we're probably going to see Viaduct, because whoever plays G6, they're going to ban Bagel. So Viaduct will be in the pool. There's 7 maps. We're going to see Viaduct tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about what are we going to see from EU versus Australia. Last time, both COTS banned from the 2 separate teams. And with Sunshine kind of being on the table, I'm curious how both teams do on things like Metalworks. You were saying that was potentially a weakness there. And if both teams are burning their bans on the Koth, that should be on the table for them.
yeah, it's the sort of it's the game of chicken, right? If you both know you don't really want to play Koth, you don't want to be the one to ban it and use your bans up. So I don't know, maybe it slides through as a final map if they get left in late, but if they don't feel comfortable to pick.
Leaves G6 in a good spot too, because obviously they're very comfortable
of
on
course.
King of the Hill. So it's kind of like either way, when it comes to the grand finals, when the lights are on, in that best of 5, you're going to see G6 probably win on King of the Hill in one way, shape, or form.
In this BO5, with 7 maps, you are playing every single map besides 2. This really will show who has the best map pool.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen every single map being played very consistently. We've seen a lot of Viaduct. We've seen a good amount of Snakewater. I do want to see what happens on Metalworks for some of these teams. I think at least a question mark for a couple of them.
I mean, we can already definitely rule out Bagel being even
It's
allowed.
not even gonna
definitely
show
not
up at
getting
all.
Through, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think it's a series.
I guess one final thing I'll think about here is we obviously this low bracket game is going to be a rematch of a game we had earlier today.
Yep.
It's maybe not too unfair to say it was pretty dominant for the Europeans when they faced up. having seen them play this game now, the Australians beat the Balls team. Did it? Okay, Sunshine was a bit more confident. Snake was very, very back and forth. Do you think, has your opinion changed? Do you think they've got a better chance now?
I mean, it depends. It's going to definitely be a little bit tough. You know, the Australians had a great first map against, you know, the Europeans. It was a very close game, very competitive. It could have went either way. It came down to mere decision makings at an individual level to turn that game around. But again, when it came down to Gully Wash for Witness Gaming EU, you know, it just looked like they had the slightly more dominant soldiers. It looked like Tomas was able to just kind of shut down and Connor a little bit more, and Lucas kind of just walked away with it, which led to an eventual 5-1. So it's going to be a little bit trickier to say, especially, you know, how is the Australians going to respond with these bans? Is it going to be a Gully Wash ban? Are they going to keep, you know, both costs in the rotation? It's going to be tough to see.
Either they're going to see Vi or they're going to see goalie. So if they want, they can look at the demo for goalie and say, is there anything we could have improved on?
Yeah.
Or are they going to say, okay, let's see what you got on Viaduct and run that one? But it's going to be really interesting to see.
So I do believe we're going to have some of the Australians here, Cookie and Con, are going to be jumping in to sit down with us, if I'm not mistaken, and probably talk about.
It'd be a bit of a busy couch, I guess. We can squeeze them on, I
we
think.
can squeeze them.
We'll
Hey,
move
listen,
the laptop and some of the
hey.
cushions. I'm sure we can.
We can accommodate. We can accommodate.
We can accommodate. Yeah, come on. If they're on their way, they can come in. I'm sure we'd love to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, it's been a long day for them, I can imagine. Come on, Papa Squat, Papa Squat. Papa Squat, man.
You can share a mic if they want to share.
Yeah, you can share my mic. It's all good. You can hold it.
You give them that mic.
Yeah, we need a mic down this end if we. Yeah, sure.
We can share. Say your piece, man.
Ah, hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a long day for you guys.
Long ass day. Yeah, really long.
Long week.
Long week.
Yeah.
What, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday. After a 14-hour flight. Wow. We were cooked. Yeah.
I have to ask one question to you guys, if you don't mind me asking. The energy after beating Froyo, I want raw, unedited. I want it all on the table. Thoughts and opinions about North America's former finest. What do you guys think, man, of what Froyo brought to the table today?
I mean, Freo was good today. We had some good scrims against them, and they definitely made us sweat. But I think afterwards, we were all just fucking elated, you know.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
it was fucking crazy beating them. There were no words, honestly, the amount of relief we felt after winning. We knew we could do it. We had really great scrim results. We knew they were sort of crumbling. They'd lost a Bulls team. Like, we had them, right?
Had them on the
But
ropes.
It was the toughest game for at least me mentally. Like, that psychological pressure is just really hard, just because you know it's Banny.
Sure.
We had pretty much everyone rooting for us, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was funny. And here we could literally hear it's like, oh, that's another round. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
But it was still just funny to me. It's like beating Froyo still wouldn't have completed the fourth place curse. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking it'd be maybe at your expense, but it'd be funny. It's like, oh yeah, we beat Froyo. Yeah, what place you get? We got fourth.
still got
We got fourth. It's like you have to do all that and more to continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how are you feeling kind of going into day 3?
I mean, I feel like we are fairly confident.
Yeah, I think that's...
I mean, obviously we've haven't really been able to get it done against the 2 remaining teams yet. So we definitely got our work cut out for us. But
And whoever Chris or Silvo just sat down, our MVP against Froyo, and probably against what's up?
Yep, what up, guys? What's going on?
How do you play sniper like that, man? Like your sniper's been crazy, man. Like it's.
I don't know. Coming into the slam, my sniper's been awful, like online.
Nah,
like,
you've
genuinely,
been popping off.
But
Like,
like when I started playing on 5 ping, I think sniper hit rate is just like made me infinitely better at the game. I think I'm just like continuing the Australian legacy of we only have good snipers, we can't do anything else. Someone had to do it. Yeah, someone had to do it, and just, I guess I have to do it.
yeah, I guess it's sort of like one of the questions, sort of like a more general one. Sort of you obviously come over, you've played in your own region for a long time. You come over and you've basically had like a week to get used to playing with against all the other regions, sort of adapting to their styles, and like how do you feel you're like growing into it? Like, do you feel you're like improving, like sort of like game by game? Is it like how's that going for you guys?
yeah, I think we've definitely been improving day by day, game by game. It's like been a lot to adjust to because these teams are quite a bit stronger than what we're used to. But I think we've been handling it fairly well.
Yeah. Just like adapting to the different play styles, learning how to like keep track of what these teams are likely to do against us versus what we face in Australia, which is quite predictable at the moment. But I think we're getting the hang of it. Yeah.
That's good to hear. And I guess it's getting quite late now, so maybe we'll let you all get to sleep. I know it's going to be a long day tomorrow. One more thing. Okay, we can hold it. We can hold it one sec.
It's a fun question. What's your favorite Australian player of all time? We'll go around the board.
Anyone saying themselves is dragged out of the desk.
My favorite new gen player is Robor.
So you can be all time.
Let me think.
I was a big Snowblind fan.
Wow.
I'm gonna say.
I know that name. That's cool. I've seen Snowblind gameplay.
You know, I'll say Robor as well. I think he's pretty good.
A lot of love for Robo.
I think he's.
No,
pretty
you can
good.
have the same pick. That's good.
Yeah.
That's extra
What
credit.
Australian players do you guys know?
I know Immunity, Jasmine T. Oh, I watched some of the last Oz Fortress LAN. I do not remember off the top of my head. But I know all of the Immunity ones, JT, all that. But I'll just say Yuki. Yuki was doing some magic back in the day.
I'll give a shout out to Dork as well. I like Dork. Yeah.
I know you guys are a fan of JPEG. I know that one.
Oh yeah.
Right, if you've got no more questions, feel free to jump in now. If not, we can wrap up and let these guys get rested. Big day tomorrow.
Get some food.
Good luck when you face the Europeans again. No, it didn't go your way today, but maybe it could be a change of fortunes tomorrow, and maybe we could see you in that big best of 5 tomorrow. But do stick around on the stream. We're going to be back here, game 1 at 11 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. Be here, watch Witness Australia face off Witness EU for a spot in the grand final of Physgun Fireside Denver 2025. Be there.